What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Friday to everybody. Happy Friday to everybody, man. Man, I was anticipating today's show because there's so much to talk about, bro. Let me get my
Yeah, we about to
notes.
be here for a
Notebook.
minute.
Right, right. I want to welcome
Right.
everybody into the room, man. And I was thinking our small talk before we get into the business and while everybody's getting into the room. I was thinking the small talk would be the fact that Offset dropped a solo song today and Takeoff and Quavo dropped two songs today, technically, because they're on the Khaled album, and they dropped another song, Stunner. So I guess the Migos are officially broken up.
Told you, the man leaves us.
I told you too. I was like, yo, this culture
You,
three
you,
sounds super separate.
we, no, you were speaking to the separation. I was just speaking to
The
marriage
logistics. Yeah.
and the biblical attachment
Yeah.
and the financial profit margin that comes with keeping the money in the house.
No, you're right.
The way that spreadsheet looked, the way that accounting spreadsheet looked.
And the thing is, man, I think both of them dropped some quality stuff on their own. I like the song that Offset dropped last week better than the one this week. And I like Takeoff and Quavo's song a little bit better, but it is
Yeah,
what it is. That's two against one, but more power to both of them. I mean, all three of them, obviously, but as an
both
individual
sides.
unit, both sides, because it's one thing that 5 4 3 2 1 Takeoff song from Offset. I'm like, is that a never mind? And then you got Takeoff on the other record with Gucci, and he was like, I heard he got married, he the bride or something like that. But
Very petty.
shout out to everybody coming in the room. Everybody's already
Hey,
talking about Hove did. Oh yeah, man, we got to get into that.
hold on. So I just want to go through so people are always pulling up here talking about these literary devices. Let me show you how literary devices really work in a really cool way where you don't notice it in a bar. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know I do this often, but it's because of who he is. So let's go to Rakim's Follow the Leader, where he goes, self-esteem makes me super, superb, and supreme. Okay? So when he goes self, okay, so he's starting off with an S.
Mm-hmm.
The next word, esteem, the second consonant is with the S. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The third word ends with the S on the third consonant. That's the definition. Get it? Self-esteem makes. Okay? So we have the S at the beginning, the middle, and the end on the first three words.
Brilliant.
And then he goes into the alliteration in the assonance, I believe it is, of it, which is super, superb, and supreme, which is technically the way that you would write something example-wise when explaining it. You were taught to give three examples and use "and" after the second comma to give the third example. It is literally the definition of literary devices. That is all I got.
Incredible. I'm going to get to the super chat real quick. 007 says, about to take off, so I'm getting my remarks on what matters most today. Apparently, Jigga Man's verse. It was cool, very happy, and it makes me want to hear an album. Probably not a verse of the year, but very high. Shout out to 007. Travel safely, brother. Michael
Yes,
Williams in the
please,
super
travel
chat
safely.
says, that's Jay's best feature since Drug Dealers Anonymous, and the best he's flowed in years. Verse of the year contender, even though it's kind of unfair due to the length. We'll get into that too. And
Let's get into all of it.
I know you and I spoke about this offline in sort of the pregame or whatnot. I don't want, and we still feel a little different about all three projects. Well, 2 out of the 3 projects that dropped today.
Definitely 2 out of the 3.
2 out of the 3. And, I think that J.I.D. put together a great effort, and I don't want all of his efforts and how dope this project is to get lost in this somewhat overhyped Jay-Z verse. I'm going to say something that you're probably going to be real shocked about. And I'm going to explain myself, but I
Go
was
ahead.
more impressed with Eminem's appearance than I was Jay-Z's appearance. And for me to say that, it almost hurts to say that.
Really?
I
I was
was.
reading one of my notes is what does Mike think about this bar work that Eminem put down? Okay.
It wasn't even just the bar work, it was the perspective and the approach to an album that's supposed to be about what God has done for the individuals. Right? I mean, that's the theme. And they
Okay.
stuck to I would say Kanye, and I'm going to get to that too. Kanye, Eminem, Dr. Dre, whoever, they stuck to that theme much better than everybody else. I would give Ross and Wayne props too. I think the song with Don Toliver and Travis kind of stuck to that as well. But everything else, it was a free-for-all. And that goes on Khaled because this is his project. He chose the name that God did, and he didn't really corral the troops into that thing. But we can get into that if you're ready to get into that.
What about to say? So is that where we starting? Are we starting with Khaled?
We might as well. That's what
Because of
everybody
the J
wants
verse?
to hear.
Because I mean, the J verse is where the buzz is. So
I
we might
guess
as well,
so. You know, we'll kind of build up to the J verse, and I guess we can kind of start there because
Well, let's talk about the album as a whole, and then we can kind of like start partitioning off like the highlight moments, highlight songs, highlight verses.
As people are coming into the room, AKs and Curtain says it was just a good verse, nothing really special. You know, I'm gonna quote. I don't know if I'm quoting you straight up, but something you've always said to me, and we've talked about this with great verses and how we match them up all time. The Cannabis Beast from the East verse comes up. And I think it was when you and I were doing the top 10 verses of all time, and I was talking about Beast from the East, and you were talking about verbal intercourse. And how Nas was able to put all of that into 16 bars. He didn't have to stretch it out, right? And I feel like I've never known Jay to ever have to stretch out in that fashion. The only time that comes up to me off top is when he did The Watcher 2. And when he clearly was trying to out-rap Rakim on there. You know, and that's Rakim. And we know how high everybody holds Rakim, including Jay-Z. So that was a moment to try to outshine the greatest MC of all time, right? And
Correct.
This seemed to be an effort to do that in more ways than one. I feel like Lil Wayne was kind of collateral damage here because he went out there and put together a really good verse that actually stayed on topic. And I'm gonna get to that, but yeah,
I want to get to that as well. When we get to that song, we need to talk about Wayne too.
We really need to talk about Wayne because I honestly feel like he has the more proper verse if we want to talk about, you know, what the song's about and what the theme is and sticking to the theme. And for the first time, I think, and first time I'm hearing, Wayne acknowledges the fact that he has birthed this generation. And it's all factual.
Yes. It's the way that he did it, though.
And he did it in a way where it wasn't like Jay did it on some me shit.
It wasn't arrogant.
Yes.
It wasn't arrogant the way that he did it. It was appropriately said and stated in place.
I
want to juxtapose the angle and the approach of the two verses as well.
Because that's what it's about, especially when, because I know people like to play with things, but especially when you put God in the context. You know what I'm saying? So it is very important how you place things. And one of the things that I took away from that song specifically before we get into the album is the fact that everyone on that record, Ross and Wayne, they were praising God where Jay was praising Jay, Ho, whatever.
Let's get into the album. We'll get into it.
Nas the GOAT with the super chat says, they say Hov did well, Hov didn't. It sounded like his last 10 features crammed into one long verse. It's the same stuff we've already heard and knew about. Jay Short with the super chat says, hasn't Jay always done 80% of his best 20% of the time? He's never been a Biggie, Rakim, were consistently put out of memorable verses. Who consistently put out memorable verses. I guess that's what he was trying to say.
Jay?
Talking about Biggie and Ra.
No, I'm saying they're saying whoever's saying they're saying Jay doesn't consistently put out memorable verses.
He says, hasn't Jay always done 80% of his best 20% of the time? He's never been a Biggie, Rakim, were consistently putting out memorable verses. Because he's saying that Biggie and Rakim put out memorable verses at a better rate than Jay-Z does.
Okay, they put out memorable verses at a better rate than everybody else too, though. So that's not necessarily fair.
Let's
feel
get
what I'm
into
saying?
this.
It's like that's one of those. Okay, so you have aggregated data where it's like, well, this is where Biggie and Rakim, go on the bell-shaped curve in relationship to Jay-Z. But it's like, well, everybody else is on that bell-shaped curve on the side that Jay is in relationship to them in terms of the memorable moment. You know what I mean? Because it's like people know Rakim stuff that don't even know that it's Rakim stuff.
No, because it's breathing through everybody else.
Right.
That's why when we call Rakim the God MC, it fits in that context because he's the reason why everybody raps with the flow that they rap. It's not just something we're making up on another realm.
Well, it's also it's the way that he patternized his flow, but it was also the focus on the writing and the lyrics. That's why I just broke down the literary device in one bar.
Right.
A lot for one bar, wasn't it?
It's incredible. No one was doing that before, and very few
that
even
was in
after.
1987, 88. He was doing that.
Insane.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. So on the bell-shaped curve, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, he's all the way over there. If you're gonna like start putting the data and compacting it that way.
I want to get to these super chats and then we'll go ahead and get into this album. Mad Max with the super chat says, "Hov, shake my hand, great verse. Shake my hand, great verse. We got to give him credit for showing out along with Wayne, but Jadakiss is the king of New York right now." Ndu Jam says, "Shout out from South Africa. This is a true testament that Ye is a trendsetter. Rappers are doing gospel hip hop sounds." I want to get to that too, but not really. They're not copying him that well. Honestly, they're copying him in a way where it's derailing what that initial message actually was.
So truthfully so, which I took some issue with. So imagine how I feel right now.
I'm taking a lot of issue with, and I know you took some issue with Donda, so I know you're really gonna give this album some smoke.
I'm going to try to address it from the musical aspect, and we're just going to unpack the sacrilege as we go, so to speak.
Right. We keep getting super chats in. I want to get to the super chats.
Hold on, let me just read this, and then we can get to this.
Yeah.
Man, Ye is so great, it's ridiculous, because we got to talk about the Drink Champs episode too, and we got to talk about Ye just like all time, because really what I wanted to talk about is that after watching the Drink Champs and then listening to this Khaled album, it's like, I don't know if anybody's influence has been this heavy this long. He changed the game, like Mo said. He changed the paradigm of things once, and it appears he is shifting the paradigm again. How many rappers have done it?
He's done it a few times. I mean, because even if we think
time
about
number 3, possibly.
Yeah, because if we think about the college dropout, that changed what what, I won't even say that. That was the introduction. I would say Graduation was that moment when he went up against 50. And it changed the trajectory of what mainstream hip hop artists could look like.
Could do.
Yeah.
No, it changed what you could do.
He took out gangster rap right there. You know what I mean? Right there in that moment when Graduation went up against Curtis, he took out gangster rap for being the mainstream, model for what hip hop is. He did that. Then 808s and Heartbreak brought in a whole new era of things.
Well, what he really did is that he allowed artists to win. It's like
and
artists
the regular
are win
guy,
this fight from now on.
And the regular guy, the guy with no street credibility. You know what I'm saying?
Just the artist. You don't just need to be an artist after Ye. You needed to be something before Ye that you maybe were not. See, people understand how many of these dudes that had to be somebody they're not, that then got robbed, shook down, extorted to try to live a certain lifestyle and be a certain type of way just to make it in the game.
Cool. All the way down to the fact that on a mainstream level, and I know there were people before who kind of did it, you needed a rap name. The nigga didn't call himself Killer West. You know what I'm saying? He went with his birth name. And even though, and I know a lot of people are going to bring up Tupac, even Tupac was kind of probably pressured by, just the culture to phonetically spell it in a way where it was kind of a rap name with adding the two. You know what I mean?
No, I think that was Tupac, because when you go and read his poetry, he wrote with the number 2 in it.
Well, I'm not saying the pressures of you got to change this, but you just know that when you come in the game, you got to have a rap name. Like I knew that when I wanted to be a rapper, my rap name was crucial. I couldn't go by Michael Doctor. You know what I'm saying? Kanye West jumped out there and was like, Kanye West.
No, I get you. Because it's like
And
Nas just came out as Nas
Lamar.
and Tupac just came out as Tupac.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it's
see,
not
you
like
see
they
the
came
following
out.
where it's like
Right.
J.
Nasir
Cole.
Jones is not getting the same following as Nas off Gate.
Exactly.
Right.
Jason with Super Chat says, not only was Jay's verse nothing special, but he was extremely blasphemous and very problematic. You know what? I'm glad we're not the only people who are seeing this in that way. Our man says, all these industry heads raving about Jay-Z's verses because they want Jay to win another Grammy. AKs and Curtains with the Super Chat says, Jay's prestige does more for Jay than his actual bar work on the track nowadays. Mad Max says, the Ye song was another album. LOL. Yeah, it was from another album. Because Push and Malice was on the song. Yep. We could talk about that as well. All right. Let's get into this album.
Let's go.
I love the engagement already, though, man. We're going to have a great show. I already feel it.
Yeah. I mean, it already is a great show in my estimation, my humble estimation.
You know,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I see this in the chat. The album's called God Did. The song's called God Did. And what I see on Twitter that's trending is Hove Did. That's problematic.
That's what's very problematic.
That's the problem. And, you know, and this is a problem that they created. This isn't something that social media just did.
No, Hove did that.
So hopefully you wouldn't have to go through that.
Right.
Hove did that. Okay, let's get to it.
So problematic.
All right.
See, and it's coming from me. That's why it's like, no, I'm going to try to be as like baseline as I can about this so that nothing is misconstrued or it's not feeling like I'm giving off the inappropriate energy.
Right.
Right.
Okay, well, the album's called God Did. DJ Khaled released it today, at midnight, whatnot. And it features pretty much the whole industry. It starts off with an intro. I mean, it is what it is. That's not being shady. I'm just being real.
No, I've been saying it. It's
he
like,
let off the cannon
for about 2 decades now.
So it features everybody. I can't go through all the names, but it's, you know, one of the things that was kind of deceptive for me is with the Drake No Secret. When you see the track list, you're thinking, okay, Drake got a solo song on here. That was 49 seconds that anybody could have done. Like, so this is my thing, man. We don't hear Khaled actually, and on the album, once again, on an album that is called God Did, can we explain exactly what this album is, like what the purpose of the album is? Because it sounds like it's coming from a deeper perspective, and I think that intro would have been a great time for Khaled to take the microphone and actually do something message-wise to actually convey that, because the music didn't really do that. Go ahead.
Okay, so can we take our first pause?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for somebody who loves to talk and do intros and do interludes and to explain things.
For other people.
Thank you.
He did the intro. Yeah, he did the intro.
Those were literally the last 2 words I was about to say. 3 words, for other people.
Yeah.
It's funny how when you're pulling up with something with this type of title where God is obviously involved, that you don't explain anything. Nobody finds that a little, at least on a fundamental level, don't you find that at least just fascinating?
It is. And not that Drake even said anything in his place. This was a bunch of, it really came across as, I want people to see Drake on here twice. You know what I'm saying?
More or less.
And
definitely had that appeal.
And obviously,
I feel you on that. I don't want to say anybody could have done that, though, because that's the effect and the power of Drake. Very few artists you could have just put on the first song like that, and just seeing them solo like that is going to carry a certain effect that makes you feel like, oh, okay, let me see.
Was this for the algorithm, or was this for like extra streams?
That specifically was for the algorithm. If you want to say if you want to say that was for the gram, that
was throwing off the algorithm to throw Drake on a 49-second track to start your album where he's virtually saying nothing.
Yeah, that's That's just a, you know, I mean, that's like a, you know, that's like a little Kickstarter. You know, that's a little shot of espresso. That's not like, everything ain't even part of the meal.
Well, you know what? That's part of trying to get your album to number one too, right? Like I need all of the extra streams possible to get this project to number one. And so let me go ahead and add a 49-second Drake intro. And that's the thing that's problematic about the streaming era and the way things chart in the streaming era, because now you're equating streams of a 49-second interlude that Drake did where he said virtually nothing to your sales. It's not like people actually went out there and purchased this. You know what I'm saying? All those accumulative sales are actually attributing to how he's going to be charting, and this intro looked like a real stream move, for lack of a better term.
Hey, I'm sorry. No, and I hear you. I'm sorry. I just got word back from my friend who was.
How's she doing?
We're hoping she's gonna be okay. She was able to text me back. So.
Okay. Well, good. Prayers up to her. The other thing that was problematic too, as far as, since we're talking about the cover, do you not find it odd that an album called God Did is executive produced by Allah?
Okay, so can we get into something?
Go ahead. I'm trying to bait you into that.
Okay, most of the guys that are talking this. Okay. For me, when you're saying God, that is a verbal yet non-verbal way of saying that you are leaning towards a Christian type of faith, because Muslims say Allah.
Correct.
And so most of the people who speak on these rhetorics espouse 5%er and Muslim and Nation of Islam, I guess is what NOI today. Like, these are the ideologies and the fundamental fabrics of the rhetoric that is espoused. And so, you know, that's the truly problematic part. And this is what I mean about, you have to be careful when you're in the position that a lot of these men are in terms of the following that they have, and you're not really like up to par to spar in those types of forums, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? It's like you should probably leave that alone. And this is what I mean. Like, being spiritually inclined or finding a new form of spirituality doesn't mean that you're really, those are the shakiest waters to walk on. And I mean that tongue in cheek. And so don't think because you are a great MC or that you are a great promoter or a great executive. No. That's the shakiest of waters. And so the immediate issue that I would tell you is that, well, don't all you guys follow Farrakhan, but you're talking about God in Psalm 151? Why aren't you talking about something out of the Quran? Since you're bringing up Farrakhan and Mike Wallace, which, by the way, didn't go well for Farrakhan. You see how they try to change history? That didn't help Farrakhan's cause. Mike Wallace is still one of the greatest journalists ever. That hurt Farrakhan's cause, actually, that interview. That didn't hurt Mike Wallace. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, I think that, I mean, I guess that could be debatable, you know, depending on, you know.
No. Mike Wallace didn't lose anything or get any vitriol from that. Farrakhan did. So that's like, you know what I mean? That's factual. Did anything happen to Mike Wallace in that interview?
I feel like Farrakhan's going to get vitriol anyway. You know what I mean? So I think that.
Unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah. I just think he was just using that platform to, you know, bring in anybody who was listening to him. And like, so I think it's a win-win in that sense.
I don't even like the Farrakhan name drop either, though. Like, we're going to get into all of that.
Yeah, we will. Andrew Green with the super chat says, in my opinion, Jay, Wayne, M, and Jada delivered on their verses. Length of Jay-Z's verse had people gassed. It's not Win Awards by Capadonna, but still solid. Nas the GOAT says Jay-Z has a song called Nickel and Dimes, where he says the greatest form of giving is anonymous. But he brags about what he's done for people. Shaking my head. I want to get to that too. Michael Williams with the super chat says, how is Jada the current king of New York over Nas? I must be missing his projects that are on par with KD2 and Magic. Mad Max says, Hov always been blasphemous. I mean, people calling him Hov. We all know about Jay and just waiting on you to get to the JID because he got album of the year contention. I agree with that. Coop disagrees with that. I can't wait to talk about that. Born
Right.
King got the wrong thing on the screen. All right, Born King says felt like Farrakhan talking to Mike Wallace. Best thing I remember from the verse, and it wasn't even a rhyme. Dante Smith says, on the real, Jay started this weird God complex trend in rap. Kanye, Yeezus, Kendrick, etc. Shaking my head. He doesn't
Oh
get
my
heat
goodness.
for it though, which is interesting. I think.
He doesn't.
Swain, I said he doesn't get heat for it though. Swain with the super chat says, so they hated a 10-minute game song, but they loved the 4-minute J verse. Shaking my head. Very interesting, right?
That's interesting.
It's like the yeah.
That's fair.
Mad Max
That's
says, "Yay, we're expecting. You were expecting Khaled to have a theme. The album is just about bragging about how well off he is because God, which he denies his worship, but he knew he wasn't gonna follow those themes. It's Khaled." And he also sat there and I guess it was posted on Instagram as promotion where he told Future that God told him to buy a $3 million watch. These people are wild, man. Jay Short with the super chat says, my bad, typo, guys. I find it interesting how Drake's features on the album have been under promoted. They still need older artists to create hype. Question mark. Andrew L. Green says 21 Savage sounded fire over the soul sample. His Khaled song was dope. Side note, do y'all think that this long J verse means no album? We're gonna get to that too. Jason with the super chat says Khaled's recent religious image is very fake to me. Just looks like he's appropriating faith and having a connection with God. Or did God actually tell him to buy that $3.5 million watch? J Dub says, when can we get some A2HH? It's very problematic t-shirts. LOL, I need those. Yeah, we need to create those ASAP. Dante Smith says, same reason Game put Drake's voicemail on Drillmatic. That is true. That is very fair. That's for streams too. That's very fair. Thank you. Andrew L. Green with the super chat says, Coop, last EP, I liked your Emmett/Barry and last episode. I liked your Emmett/Barry and Jay/Nas analogy. I'm going to take it further and say that Big was Bo Jackson. Would have been the best. A short career. Love that. Love that.
So here's the thing. When Bo Jackson was there, it was him and Barry Sanders, kind of like it was Nas and Big. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, right. Those were the guys. It was like that was your West Coast guy. That was your AFC guy. That was your NFC guy. If you wanted a running back around that time for that 3-year stretch, like 88 to like 90, you know what I'm saying? You wanted Barry or you wanted both.
I want to piggyback on something somebody said, and they were talking about the fact that it feels like Khaled's, I guess, religious kick is kind of fake. I'll say this. I think musically, like you said, Kanye West is a trendsetter, and I think that the approach of Donda, it was named after his mother, but it had a spiritual foundation to it. I feel like Khaled piggybacked off of that, and it feels like, to me, without anybody explaining anything and without this album actually following certain themes, as Mad Max said, it feels like he was trying to sell God. And I think that the fact that when you sit there and have an album called, God Did, and it's executive produced by Allah, that's problematic. Why wasn't it just Allah Did? Can't sell that? Is that what that is? That's what it comes across to me.
Ooh, because this is a Christian country, not a Muslim country.
Exactly.
Oh, now I get where you're coming from. That's why the Allah part is, see, it's problematic to me just like for different reasons. But if we're talking about the business aspect of it, and for what it is that you probably follow personally in terms of your faith, why can't you put and sell Allah Did in America?
Exactly. That's your faith, and you should do that.
Because this is America with 3 Ks, like Ice Cube said. That's why.
But is that not a... No, wouldn't that be called a sellout move, though?
I mean, this is what I mean about there's so many things about it that are actually truly problematic. Like, I know it's gotten to the point with the word that we say that kind of like tongue in cheek at times. No, this is problematic, like legit.
No, this is really problematic.
It's legit.
Yeah.
No, because it's like, no, Allah's the executive producer, but God did. It's like, so is that the same person?
Right.
It's like, well, then I tell you what, then call it Allah did, and then put God as the executive producer.
Exactly. Why don't we switch it around? Can't do that?
Switch it around. And hold on, and I've seen some people in the chat saying that like we're nitpicking. Are we nitpicking now? Let's reverse it.
It's not nitpicking. It's being honest. Because again, we talk about when the baby goes out there on the cross, and you know when people go out there and depict themselves in a certain light, we criticize that as well. This is the same thing, if not worse. Not to mention, and again, I
didn't know we were handing out hall passes just because Khaled's not deep. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I think that makes it even worse because you're not explaining anything.
Right. It's like, no, that's Khaled though, so we wasn't expecting that anyway. That doesn't make it okay.
He shouldn't name it that. Again, that's what makes me feel like you're piggybacking off of what Kanye West did. You know, no pun intended, but you know what I mean? And trying to do it in your way because let's just be real. Khaled's currently struggling for relevancy. So let me do something that people are going to gravitate to. You can't criticize God, right?
And let me tell you how consistent I am with it. Well, I don't have any problem with Tupac's last album being called Machiavelli, but I don't like the cover. I don't like the Nas Hate Me Now video. I don't like Nas having God's son tattooed on his stomach. I don't like Yeezus. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm consistent. I don't like any of those things. Be like, oh, but Coop, you like the Hate Me Now video? No, I hate that. He should have never done that. Yeah. That was very problematic when he did that.
Yeah.
That's how bottles got thrown at people.
I think everybody involved who's done anything like that will go back and tell you, yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
But hold on, so let me just finish but let me just finish like saying this. Well, you want to know what the one person that it works for? It works for Kanye, and let me tell you why. Isn't one of his first singles a song called Jesus Walks?
True.
Not like second, third album, but like third single ever released. It's Through the Wire, All Falls Down, and Jesus Walks, right?
And you know what? And now that you say it like that, Kanye didn't mask it either. He never hit it. He put Jesus in the title of a song. He's not going to put code words in there.
Really talk about him because when you got guys like literally 22 decades after that album trying to hide it, when he actually won with it 2 decades ago, Mike, it's one of the best rap songs ever. It's one of the things that changed the paradigm.
Yeah.
And he really did have people singing Jesus Walks in the club.
And you know what? They tried to make him not even put the record out.
Mike, do you understand that even the hip hop community tries to act like Jesus Walks doesn't exist?
And the fact that he said, I think one of the realest lines that he's ever said, a rapper could rap about anything except for Jesus. That's true. Rappers will rap about all kind of shit. Like you could go out there talk about you shoot somebody mama house up, anything except for Jesus, and that's wild to even think.
I told you, like, Cool G Rap pretty much has a song where he's talking about, like you know what I mean, prostituting and beating his chick up. Like, the whole song.
They'll put all that stuff out. They'll put Kim out. They'll put 13 and Good out. You know what I'm saying? But they will not.
I mean, not to be funny, Kim is, like, prostituted herself on record, like, multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is true. Stillmatic with the super chat says, So hold on, Nas drops 2 classics, and I hear nothing. But Jay drops a decent verse, and the world goes crazy. Get the fuck out of here. You for real? Jay-Z needs to drop an album. I agree. I told Coop this before we got on. A 4-minute verse of, listing your accomplishments when the song's about God, whatever, cool. We need an album, man. And I think he made that whole GOAT line or whatever, that had to be in reference to Nas. It always is, because that's the only person that we match him up with in that conversation. They're number 1 and 2, and Nas is number 1. And so
what was there left to talk about?
Nothing. So, until you drop an album, none of that's changing. KD3's on the way. Unknown name with the super chat says, I actually agree with Farrakhan. Mike Waller's line was the best part of the song. I grinned at that, given the context. Mad Max to the super chat says, love Nas, but he is not Jada.
What context is he talking about? Hold on, what
What's
context?
the line?
This is what I'm talking about. When people are saying that, this is what I mean about like stop giving people passes. When he's using the Mike Wallace, the Farrakhan context, no journalist the caliber of Mike Wallace is interviewing Jay. What is he talking about? Unpack it for me. Tell me the juxtaposition where that's relative or relevant.
You know,
It's
that
just-
line didn't really stick out to me like that. Can you find like the actual line and read the reference to it? Cause
No, he literally said, I feel like Mike Wallace talking to Farrakhan.
okay, but why?
That's exactly. You see how we just give
It's a
it
bunch
a
of
pass?
trickery, man.
It's
Like,
no.
yeah.
Hold on. Here's how I look at it. Who's interviewed you that's credible as a journalist the way Mike Wallace is credible? Like Farrakhan sat down with a super credible journalist, like of the highest order.
I mean, again, I'm sure he's.
They just sat down with Kevin Hart, Mike. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's very valid. And you know, no disrespect to Kevin Hart, but he's a comedian.
Kevin Hart ain't fucking Mike Wallace.
He's not a journalist.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
He's not a journalist. That's like us saying.
You.
That's like us saying
by comedians. Think about this. You getting interviewed by comedians, and you're bringing up a Mike Wallace and Farrakhan juxtaposition when your last interview was by a comedian. I don't think so.
Hey, Joe Biden sat down with Cardi B.
Very problematic.
Mad Max with the super
That
chat.
was more entertaining than the Kevin Hart interview with Jay, though, because that wasn't staged. I told you he wouldn't even sip the wine on camera.
Mad Max with the super chat says, love Nas, but he's not Jada as the king of New York right now. The guys my age and younger give that Jada. A lot of them don't even listen to Nas. I understand what Mad Max is coming from.
I can respect
It's the
that.
energy. It's the New York energy that Jada's giving off. Nas is just making great music. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so this is what I've always said. Man, like Nas, Big, and Jay really stopped being New York after all of their first albums.
Mm-hmm.
They belong
I would
to
say
the people
going
after
into
all
the
of their first albums.
2000s.
Their first albums are all succinctly like East Coast, New York, like canonized, like, you know, classic shit. But it's like everything after that, they belong to the streets. They belong to the people. And it's like, I hate to be the one to break it to you. Guys like Prodigy, Raekwon, Kiss. No. Those guys belong to New York more.
Yeah.
They're the sound of New York. So if you feel like Kiss is like on top in New York, it's like, yeah, like that's like when you getting them. That's like them electoral votes, Mike. It's like, yeah, you win in New York, but it's like, nigga, like, are you win in Pennsylvania, in Minnesota, in Michigan?
I'm seeing in the chat people saying we're going to
Texas. You winning those? It don't matter if you win New York if you don't win Texas and California and Florida.
I'm seeing in the chat people are saying that we're thinking it too deep. No, we can't have a 4-minute verse full of this type of verbiage and think too deep. We got to dig into this.
About it when he's the one that's juxtaposing Mike Wallace and Farrakhan in an interview. We're the one that's getting too deep.
Stillmatic with the super
We're
chat
bringing up
says,
Farrakhan and Mike Wallace, and we're getting too deep. That's very problematic. That's that hall pass that I'm talking about.
No. We're not here to do that. We're here to be fair and balanced, man. Stillmatic says, Jay has verses better than this one out of this one. Cut the crap. Yeah, cut the cap. Yeah, straight up. I saw an article, I think it was Ambrosia for Heads who posted it, talking about this is one of the best verses of Jay's career. I didn't get a chance to read the whole article.
Hold on. That's more blasphemous than what Khaled and Jay are doing. That's what
I'll send you the article. I'll let you read the article. But the fact that of all of the great work that Jay has done.
Have they heard
this is,
I don't know, 96 to 2005 Hove? Have they heard that guy?
Teddy Hart with the super chat says, chomping at the bit to see how the world, anyone disagrees with JID's album, has no argument for album of the year. Yeah, I love the record. I think it is album of the year right now. Jason says, even as a Kanye fan, I feel like Donda was spiritually misguided. Watch the second and third listening parties and tell me that looks Christian. That's fair. I think from a content standpoint and the fact that, like I said, when we reviewed the album, I respected the fact that as a producer that Kanye was able to corral a bunch of talents that normally don't talk about spirituality and get them on that page and get them to make clean records without cursing. That was important to me too. Back when I was in radio, you remember Coco Brother when he was on the radio as well.
course.
Yeah, Coco Brother, he was kind of dabbling between that line of, Christianity and hip hop, and he ended up being on a Christian station. But I remember he came out with a mixtape or compilation or whatever it was back then, and it had, everybody of that day, David Banner, Killer Mike, and all of them on it. And they had songs where it was like all kind of cursing on it, and it said executive produced by like Jesus Christ. And I had a problem with that then. I was like 18, 17 years old. And I'm like, that just doesn't mix. And I'm not even the most super religious person like that. I mean, my father's a pastor and all of that stuff. But it's like, I think people just need to respect the beliefs in the spiritual realms in that way. And when you straddle those lines, it's like, it's problematic. That's the name of this episode. Eric Terrell with the super chat says this song. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If any other MC did this, we would be talking about it, and people would not just be bypassing it. Literally, anybody else. Like if Nas did this.
Well, if Nas did this,
like if Nas did this, people like the Truest and all these guys will be popping up right now and being like, "Hey."
No, if Nas did this, Rolling Stone will have a whole article about this.
Or they just give him like another 2-star review on a 5-star album.
Right. And call him blasphemous and all that. Eric Terrell with the
misogynistic. Don't forget misogynistic and a wife beater.
Right.
I'm going to call him a misogynistic wife beater.
Eric Terrell says the song is called God Did, but in the background it sounds like dead, not did. Khaled slipped in this song.
It's one of. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to get to the other super chats. Go ahead.
No, get to the super chats. Okay. I actually need to go upstairs and unlock the door.
All right, Ryan Gillum with the super chat says JID's album sounds like an album that K-Dot that we wanted from K-Dot. Yes, and it's kind of funny because to me JID always sound like a Southern Kendrick. It does. It sounds like structurally, and we're gonna get to this too. Structurally, it sounded like Good Kid, Mad City. It didn't sound like the album, but the way it was put together and how well it was put together, it reminded me of that. And it reminded me of some of the way the Outkast records were put together as well, too, like at the top of their swing. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, guys, I call Jay a zip MC. Everything that he does needs to be unpacked. His masterful use of ambiguity allows him to put more in 116 than just, he just has 72 to share on this one. And we're still unpacking. I want to answer to that too when we get to the rest of these super chats. Reggie Noble says, so basically other billionaires came out of your camp makes you the GOAT because you helped free Meek, makes you the GOAT in rap. Okay, we're going to get to that too. Ohio K says, if we got KD3 and Magic 2.0 this year and Nas delivered. Born King with the super chat says Farrakhan put Mike Wallace in his place, accusing Nigeria as the most corrupt country in the world. And the minister said we're living in the most corrupt country in America. He did do that. Eric Terrell with the super chat says,
let's go to that.
What beef Jay has with Chris with the Breezy line? I was wondering that too, because the Breezy thing. The Breezy thing that was closely followed by the Riri thing, it was like, okay, you talking about somebody in your crew, or are we talking about Chris Brown? Deontay Smith says, I think Mike Wallace is the public/social media questioning his GOAT status. It's following the lyrics where he talks about discussions on who is the GOAT. Okay, that's fair. That's adding some context to it.
There we go. So that's all I'm asking for is context. And man, that's a reach.
Marquez Davis says, shout out to Marquez Davis with the $20 super chat. He says, fellas, it's been a while. Hope everyone has been good. Everyone is right. Jay's verse was, man, just talking to be talking. I'm still waiting for Nas to get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too. Now that's blasphemy. Jay Short says, Mace is somewhere feeling he's owed an apology. Unknown says Wallace attempted to chastise the minister about Nigeria's corruption, and Farrakhan masterfully responded to America having no moral high ground to stand on, and that they should remain silent. I agree with that, and I believe the minister was correct on that. But go ahead. I just want to say that.
No. He was correct on that. Was Mike Wallace incorrect about the Nigerian corruption that he was speaking about?
I think that it wasn't a balanced take. He wasn't incorrect, but he wasn't coming from a standpoint where, like the minister said, he wasn't at liberty to speak on other countries' corruptions with this country's history of corruption.
So let's speak on that. Farrakhan definitely had him on his heels. Now, to call Nigeria the most corrupt country in the world is inappropriate. But the inappropriate things that he spoke to, all of that was factual. So he just misspoke. He never lied or spoke inappropriately or improperly. The corruption was real, and the things that he was speaking about was real. The only place where he was wrong was calling them the most corrupt country in the world. Everything else he was spot on about. He was just on his heels because it was Farrakhan.
Well, I think that America
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he misspoke one time. The rest of it's the truth.
Well, I don't know if he misspoke as opposed to being,
or he's wrong. I mean,
journalistically deceptive. You know what I mean? And it is kind of deceptive when, one's government, especially during that time and, pretty much all time, has done so much. It's hard to just totally point out another country.
No,
you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can unpack it on a deeper level, though, and tell you that if Mike Wallace doesn't exist, Farrakhan doesn't even get that fucking interview. You feel what I'm saying?
No. I think that even back then, like I remember when Farrakhan used to be on Donahue and, all of that. And
Farrakhan not getting that interview with Ted Brokaw, Walter Cronkite.
Right.
Not even Ed Bradley's doing that interview. Like, he got Mike Wallace, for you feel what I'm saying?
Well, the minister, obviously they have their following and, and speak truth to power. But I have to give props to the mainstream outlets that do open that door. It's like a heavyweight champ, right? Taking the fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying.
Even if you
get take all challengers journalists.
Yeah,
correct.
So even if you get knocked out, you got to give props to the champ for actually taking that fight. It's like Apollo or Rocky or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's okay. So look at it like this. Like, Malcolm X terrified people about Islam in this country with his intelligence to the point that by the time it was Farrakhan's turn, the only person left who even wanted to take a turn was Mike Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
And honestly, for somebody to even take or give that platform and actually have a discussion, they have to agree with you on something. Because they want
have to think that what you're saying is relevant to what needs to be heard.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying.
But you have to play the other side to, create that. Yeah.
Right, but you have to play the. Okay, so Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
On camera.
Exactly.
Behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I need 50 G's. I got you, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's get to the song. You want to get to the song?
Yeah, let's get to the song. We're everywhere.
This is a great episode, though. All right.
We did this beforehand. We've been talking about this episode since yesterday.
What did you think about the song God Did?
I think, okay, so let's go back to Beast from the East. I'm consistent. I don't like these long verses like that. Capadonna on Winter Wars, I told you the same thing. Remember when all of y'all got on me that episode when we were ending the show and I was like, oh, that Kappa verse on Winter Wars too long. And everybody's like, oh, Coop, you crazy. That's one of the best rap verses of all time. I'm like, rapping for 2.5 minutes doesn't make it one of the best rap verses of all time.
You're not that big on Kappa,
your delivery and your flow is on point. That's what happens when you MC all the time.
Hold on, this is what I will say about that. I know you're not a huge Kappa guy. And I think where Winter Wars is different, Winter Wars is kind of like CeeLo on Goodie Bag. It's like he just caught wreck. It almost feels like a cycle. Yes. You know what I mean?
Okay, so listen,
now, Beast from the East is not that. Beast from the East is not that.
Like 90 seconds of wreck, like on Goodie Bag, and like 250 seconds of wreck, like on Winter Wars. Oh, that's different. And here's the other thing too. Those guys don't even get to stunt like that if both of those hooks aren't fire. Raekwon's hook on Winter Wars is fire.
The beat's crazy.
The Goodie Bag is fire. Literally, put some fire on the ass end of that weed, because in the Swats, red hots don't drip or bleed. People don't even know what the Swats was yet.
Yeah. Southwest
Unless
Atlanta
you were down here.
Yeah.
Or from here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So like they needed that, just like they couldn't have just jumped out and did those verses without that song structure, without those hooks. Yes, this shit is raw coming at your door. Start to scream out loud. Wu-Tang's back for more.
Yes,
Verbal Intercourse doesn't have a hook. Children's Story by Slick Rick, they don't have a hook.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, so if you want to go to a long verse that's lyrically precise, like an on point, Children's Story would be the moment. Is this Children's Story level? That's 2 minutes and 30 seconds of real fucking like lyrical storytelling and magnificent brilliance.
Well, I'm glad you brought that song up, because I feel like for a long verse like that, you have to be telling a story some way.
No, you have to be brilliant too.
I think
like
even when you talk about,
you need to be brilliant. Other than that, it's just like, oh, well, you did some. He checked a lot of boxes. You ever dated a girl that checked a lot of boxes but didn't do the deal, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like,
what did you think of the song overall, though? I know you skipped over to the verse.
That song is just good, and it's mostly good because of Wayne. Now Wayne's great on there.
I think Ross has a lot to do with it too, because I feel like with Ross, they placed Ross on this record so they could take on that Maybach Music feel.
Yeah, you have to. He
sets it off. And I called this last episode. I said they were going to go Ross, Wayne, Jay. Didn't I say that?
You did say that. Okay, so Ross is one of the best tone setters ever, because he's bringing that Maybach sound with him, and everybody wants to ride that wave.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to ride that wave.
Yep.
It's like, what beat does Ross want to ride to? We'll all ride to that.
Because if Ross isn't on that song, what's the beat sound like?
That's what I'm saying.
The beat's going to be way different. Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack thing number one. Hold on, let me go to my notes.
Okay.
Go to my notes.
I think they used Ross for the sound, and Ross did his thing on there.
Ross picked that beat. That's what that's my note. Ross picked that beat.
Yeah.
But he always picking these beats. That's how you can, like, when Ross picks the beat now, he's the best beat picker ever. He is. He's the best beat picker ever. As far as an MC goes, there's not an MC that picks better beats than him. When he picks the beats. Like, how about this? When he did Accident Murderers with Nas picked that beat. This
goes right in the Maybach Music series. Like, if you just took off God Did or whatever and put Maybach Music 6 or whatever, it's there.
This Maybach Music 15. Okay?
Exactly. This is Ross's song.
It all,
to be honest.
The feel, but that's what I mean about what he's the best beat picker ever. Well, everybody wants to jump into his world because he picks the beats that it's like, well, what movie and what story are we telling? Now, Wayne's the real star of this song, much like, and listen to what I'm about to say, the same way Jay Electronica is the real star of the Control song with Big Sean.
Definitely.
He's got the real actual bar working verse, but because of the person.
And because of the length.
And because of the length.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. This is where, and I was talking to my man Mark out there in the Bronx. Shout out to Mark. I know he's listening. And he said something that made me think. He was like, with him rapping for 4 minutes, why didn't he just do the song, a solo song? And I'm like, you're right. And then I thought about it, like I said. I feel like they needed Ross for the feel. And I feel like Wayne was thrown on there so that the generation that feels like Wayne is the greatest rapper ever can hear this.
They needed to hear him because look, how about this? If you feel that way about him, he gave you some evidence.
I feel like this.
Gave you some evidence. This is one of his coherent, lyrically, like, astounding verses.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. And
he's been coherent and lyrically astounding for about 2 years straight now. And when he's like that, he is one of the best rappers ever, and he is the best rapper of his generation when he's rapping that way. How about that?
Wayne gets knocked a lot for, like you said, being all over the place. He actually stuck to the theme.
He is coherent and focused. How about this? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, the song was supposed to be about what God did for you, right? Or at least that's what I feel like it's about, because the whole feel even the hook sounds very gospel-esque. It sounds like Maybach Music mixed with like gospel chorus type of vibes going on, right? And Wayne comes in there and he sticks to the topic. he talks about his influence, but he talks about God putting him in position to do so.
He comes off as thankful but confident.
Exactly. And again, when it comes to Jay's verse,
Like David.
me. Even with the whole Kanye, LeBron, Rihanna line about them being billionaires, he had to make sure
like that line.
He had to make sure he said
that's good money talk. That was good money talk.
But he also had to make sure he said he was first. They come from his crib. And and what about Dr.
That's
Dre?
Incorrect. No. There's evidence. No. That's correct. It's evidence. There's evidence. I'm not gonna knock that one. I'm not gonna knock that.
Listen, I don't want it to come across that I'm knocking that. But
I'm not saying you're knocking that. I'm just saying there's evidence. There's evidence, and that was super fly money talk. I like that moment.
It was very fly how he did it. But did he start Yeezys?
I like that.
Did he start Yeezys?
I mean, he
did that. Did he?
Okay,
listen, would LeBron be LeBron with? Hold on. Would LeBron be LeBron with or without the association?
Let me defend Jay and say that he's been some of the motivation and inspiration, and also someone who has opened up the door to provide the platform for them to be who they are. And so I think he is speaking. He's speaking like the Godfather. You know what I mean? Like he's like Pat Riley now, like sitting up, like you know what I'm saying?
Well, I've said on this show before,
he's not coaching the team like he used to. Like he's running the team now, and he's looking back on the rings that he's won, and it's like, oh, remember when we bought Ree in the office and won a couple rings? Remember we bought Ye in and we won a couple rings? Remember when Braun came on and we won a couple rings and we helped him put that? No, he was part of all of that, and so like he gets to talk that shit and he put it together really well. I don't want to knock that.
No, I'm not knocking that.
Because like it's inspirational. Like when he said that, I was like, oh, all four of them are really super wealthy and bossy.
It is inspirational.
And I do love that.
It's very inspirational.
It's sincerely inspirational.
As great as LeBron is, I'm pretty sure that he's giving LeBron advice behind the scenes that has gotten him business-wise to certain points.
LeBron has said that early on. Like that's the talk that you don't hear anymore because LeBron's like really, really a grown man now. Mm-hmm. But Jay-Z is somebody that like LeBron could call like early on to help navigate some of these waters he was unfamiliar with. He looked up to him not only artistically and musically, but his business acumen has always been high, Mike. He walked into the game with an extremely high business acumen.
Of course he did.
He's 26 going on 27. Mm-hmm. He was a grown-ass man. He had already won, lost, and won again. He's a smart businessman.
Of course. And again, that platform that those guys set and the tone that was set and that Jay-Z had set business-wise obviously was an inspiration. But
it's inspirational and it's changed generational wealth. Like what him and Puff and Master P and Russell Simmons. Yeah. Yep. Like what those guys have done. Jay Prince. Whether you like it or not, should to a degree.
Of course, should. Yeah, should.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, you know what I mean?
Like, whatever. Your work is your work. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you put in the work and you put people in position, you put people in position. It is what it is.
Tony Draper, Too Short, like these guys.
But do you think that a song
and their entrepreneurship, they have changed the generational wealth and opportunities for Black people within their format and that diagram, and seeing how we only make up 13% of this nation, 16%. I count the 13% because the 16%, but 3% of us are incarcerated. So it's like 13%. No, that's massive generational wealth improvement about jobs that you can fucking inhabit in this community. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't believe those numbers, but, whatever. We'll never really know. But what I was going to say, though, do you think,
us, so I believe them.
I want to ask you this, though. Do you think that a song called God Did is the appropriate platform to, put on all those flexes, though?
Well, to say this appropriately, and I mean this when I say this, well, hell no.
That's where I'm coming from with it, and we all know.
I know where you're
we all know. Listen, man, we're not new to this. We all know where Rihanna, the association. We know the Kanye association, all that stuff. But this is supposed to be about something else. At least I thought it was. And again,
you want to know what I would have really liked?
Go ahead.
You want to know what would have been bossy? And I thought about this when I listened, because I was listening to the track on the way here. I was like, it really would have been nice if we would have had Ree on the hook.
Yeah. I think that Wayne
That would
showed
have been
us.
bossier than the money talk. It's like, can you get Riri to sing the hook though?
I think that Wayne showed us on the verse before that you could give praise to, the title and still
Well, Jesus
talk
Walks
about
did that
your
20 years
impact.
ago.
Huh?
That's what I'm saying. Jesus Walks covered this ground 20 years ago. So it's okay. So you don't have to tiptoe. You don't have to pussyfoot. You just need to do it well. I don't know if an 8-minute song with Jay doing, like, this is Jay's best verse since Drug Dealers Anonymous. Let's just say that. I think I'm more of a fan of the verse than you are, actually.
Which
This
verse?
is a really this is actually a really dope verse, and this is better than the shit that he has been doing. I'm not even talking about the limp. I'm talking about the breath control, the vocal inflection, the way he is switching the levels of his voice at the drop of the dime, the way he knows when to pause and where to pause because he is taking so long. Like, these are masterful things. So there's some masterful shit going on, but he's
even with
also
it being a long verse like this.
Hold on, but he's also the guy that I objectively have as being the second greatest MC of all time. So it's like, I mean, I'm not surprised at any of this. Exactly. And it's like, so okay. I'm surprised at Magic. I'm not surprised by this, and that's what I'm saying. And I hate to compare because people feel like I'm comparing, but I'm just saying, this is a really
he brought up the GOAT discussion.
It's better than all the other stuff he's been putting out. Go ahead.
He brought up the GOAT discussion, so you're not out of line for comparing. Because he brought up the GOAT conversation in the verse.
Who else is he talking about?
Exactly. Who else are we talking about?
At this point? What are we doing?
Listen.
What are we doing?
Well, what I was going to say, man, I think that, I lost my train of thought.
Because we don't know what we're doing. That's what I'm saying. We don't know what we're doing. It's like we know who you were talking about.
Well, what I was going to say, that's what I was going to say. I know you're not usually a fan of long verses like that, so you even got this verse over What's Free from Meek Mills?
Yeah, this is his best verse since Drug Dealers Anonymous. I do agree with the person that made that sentiment. I found myself entertained.
What makes this verse better than What's Free to you?
Huh?
What makes this verse better than What's Free to you?
The entertainment value for me, I think, is better.
I think don't take this too wrong. I feel like it kind of got boring.
No, I do want to say this.
Uh-huh.
The part that I am impressed about the length is the fact that, I haven't heard him rhyme at this length by himself. I mean, it's been a minute.
I don't think ever. I mean, I would have to go back to a record where it's like a story where we're talking about like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you got to go back to like Dear Summer Times, like where you know what I'm saying?
No, that ain't even 4 minutes. I was gonna say the song off the Blueprint 2. You know what I'm talking about?
Hovey Baby?
No, not Hovey Baby.
Meet the Parents?
Meet the Parents, yeah.
Yes. So this is what I'm saying. That's prime Jay. That's prime lyrical Jay. Now listen to what I'm saying. For him to be at the age that he's at and to not be in album mode, Mike, and to be able to do this.
Well, see, this is the thing.
No. I don't want to hear that. I don't write it stuff like damn all of that. Even the fact that you at this age and stage can memorize it and flip it. And this is what I mean about how he's brilliant. Well, he knows when to change his voice and his inflection to help his breath control to carry himself through. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Let me get to these super chats. You think it's verse of the year contender?
No, I do not think that. I think it's the best verse that he's done. How about this? No. Not since Drug Dealers Anonymous. It's the best verse since Ghost of Soulja Slim.
Okay. Mad Max says, Hov don't like Chris because of the Riri thing.
Well, neither do I.
Born King says, honestly, Christianity as a whole has no boundaries. Clearly. Unfortunately. Flipper says, Breezy is Jay Brown. Riri's manager, business partner. Thank you. Now, even with that being said, we know what he knows people are gonna think. You know what I'm saying? It's the double entendre thing. Yeah.
You want to know what his entendre game on here isn't like stupid crazy.
Yeah.
It's more of a traditional dope ass verse, and I like that from him because here's what I mean. The only part where I felt like he was trying too hard. How about this? The only part where I felt like he had to try it, I was like, okay, if you're going to rap this long, you're going to have to vocally do things different to get yourself through it, which is what he did. He's got if I'm counting correctly, he's got 4 different vocal pitches on here. You know what I mean? That's like That's like a singer, you know what I mean, singing it, you know, going to the alto soprano. That's what I mean. So it checks a lot of boxes like that, because if a singer's doing their runs and it's like, oh, I hear your falsetto, I hear your tenor, I hear your low soprano, I hear your high soprano. It's like, oh, we're good here. They're ready to go. Put this motherfucker on stage, please. You feel what I'm saying? So
Some
it's
people
like,
said that
when you
verse...
want to hear an album, no, listen, when I'm saying you want to hear an album, you should want to hear an album, because guess what? He still sounds good. He can still do his runs. That's why you should be impressed by this. You shouldn't be impressed like verse of the year impressed. You should be impressed as like, oh, this dude ain't been doing no album work in about 5 years. The verses for the last 2-3 years have been subpar outside of some of the stuff on the J Electronica stuff, and he went and just did this. It's like that's part of the reason why he's in the conversation to be the greatest MC of all time, because he can pull up and do shit like this, but it's not verse of the year.
Well, this is what I thought when I first heard it, right? Because I listened to it at midnight, and I was listening to it.
I'm defending Jay.
I was listening to it on my headphones or whatever, and the first thing I thought, like, oh, this is a Common from College Dropout moment. But like you said, Common had an album on the way. And I agree with something you said beforehand when Jay said he wasn't working on an album, and I said I believed him. And you said you didn't because he's competitive?
I don't.
Now I'm with you. He's
Didn't you
working
just hear this
on
verse?
stuff.
I'm trying to tell you.
He's working
you just
on
rap
something.
for 4 minutes.
You don't
like,
rap for 4 minutes.
Yourself.
Yeah. You don't rap for 4 minutes on a DJ Khaled project and not be working on music. Stop that. Let's be real here, guys.
Did you believe Tom Brady retired, Mike? It's like retired. I was like, this motherfucker addicted to crack cocaine. What are you talking about?
Especially when Nas just dropped Magic and KD2, and you drop a long verse like this and KD3's on the way, and you're not working on anything, I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I don't. I can't.
I don't believe these guys.
No.
Like,
because
I
again,
truly believe,
Jay has never had to, like you said.
God bless the dead, Mike. If Kobe doesn't tear his Achilles that late, Kobe doesn't even retire in season 20. He's like, I'm going to play 25 years. He's addicted to crack cocaine. Like, it's addicted to the game.
Well, yeah. You're addicted to being the best, too, and being thought of as the best. And in certain circles, it was always debatable. But now the people who are really following what's going on and we're seeing what Nas is doing recently, it's not even debatable, even with the biggest Jay-Z fans. I have switched over because the facts is just the facts. And he's seeing these things. Not saying he's seeing us specifically, but hip-hop heads understand what's going on, right? You know what I mean? So the competitiveness in him, he's not sitting here not working on anything. He's never had to make a 4-minute long verse, Coop. Ever.
Damn lie. I'm not working on any music. I'm not making an album. It's a damn lie.
Bro. It's not true.
Lie.
It's not true.
Stop lying. It's not true. I told you it's not true. I don't believe that. You asked me, like, do you believe that? It's like, I don't believe that shit true. For a minute.
But again, 444
It's like Tom Brady. It's like, I told you, Mike, that said Tom Brady.
Well, see, 444 happened at a state where... 444 happened at a state where for most people...
LeBron.
Cool.
Sorry.
444 happened at a state where, you know, for a lot of people, he was, you know, comfortably ahead of Nas. So he could make an album like that where it's like, you know, Jay, I'll do whatever. But now the pressure's on. Since 444, we've gotten Nasir, Katie, KD2, Magic, getting KD3 on the way, and you drop a 4-minute verse, and we're supposed to think that you're not working on anything? Come on.
This is what I'm about to tell you. I think KD3 is dropping next week, Mike.
That would be amazing.
He's just been waiting on Khaled, I think. I think he's been waiting on Thought. He's cool with Game. He's cool with Khaled. He loves Cole and what Cole is doing. He's letting all these guys pass and get their little moment.
I mean, as they should. I mean, because, like I said, KD2 and Magic alone.
Well, he's in pole position. Enough. That's what you do when you're in pole position. You're just like, no, I wait. I'm in the lead. I wait the pit stop. I'm in the lead.
He's in the lead by a good margin. He's in the lead by a good margin.
4 laps left, and then I'm going to speed off on these motherfuckers the last 4 laps.
It's crazy for me to say this, man. He's in the lead by a good margin because when we started this podcast 2 years ago, and this was before KD1 dropped, I thought Jay was ahead by a pretty decent margin. But it's funny what 2 years can do, right?
Hold on, Mike. I thought Andre was a top 5 MC all time 2 years ago when we put it up.
Things change.
All right, things change.
When you got to put the facts on the table, things change. We got Trey 9 Mo with the super chat says the context is when Farrakhan said, I think y'all should be quiet, should keep quiet. Jay was referencing that from the interview. Definitely.
Oh, well, can we address that right quick? Well, who he telling to keep quiet? Because ain't nobody really criticized him except for my ass.
Well, that's true. It's kind of like when you hear these Khaled songs, and he be like, "They didn't want us to win. They didn't this and that." It's like, who is they? It seems like everybody's on Khaled's team.
Let's keep this shit funky, Mike. Because even though, like, you haven't been critical, you've just said I'm sliding him to number 2. I've been critical. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Born King with the
nobody else is critical, and I've checked, Mike. I be checking. Nobody else is critical.
No one else is.
Nobody.
Most of the mainstream publications, they don't criticize any effort that Jay puts out.
They don't give him no flex. They're afraid to give him flex.
Every time he puts out
flex, and I'd be like, oh no. He's a human being, Mike. He's a human being and a person. Did you know that? Did you know that he's a human being and a person, and he deserves the same criticism and critique as everybody else?
Well, this is the thing.
You know that?
This is the thing. This is all music, and we're all into the music, and we're judging the music. This isn't about the individual. I run into this whenever I discuss Eminem's material. People try to make it personal about Eminem. It's not about Eminem. It's about what I'm hearing through the waves of the sonics. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the person and this. I don't like him for that. I don't know these people. I just know the music. That's it. Right. Born King with the super chat says, man, Farrakhan didn't need an interview from him. We're really behind. Let me get to these super chats. Unknown says,
Mike. Talking about the Farrakhan Mike Wallace shit?
No, I think that these are the ones that
we piss people off. We can argue about it.
Unknown name says Mike Wallace was being disingenuous. Remove the beam out of your own eyes, and then you can see clearly. Remove the speak out of your brother's eye. Let's see. We got Marquez Davis with the super chat.
Mike, hold on, Mike. Stop for a second. That's actually a scripture that he's speaking of about removing the yoke out of your own eye.
Right. Marquez Davis with the super chat says his verse on What's Free, Drug Dealers Anonymous, I seen it all with Jeezy, etc. are better than this verse. I don't know why people are acting like this is his best verse ever. Nas has people scared. I agree with that. I think that the hype is more so about. I mean, we saw Young Guru weeks ago say Jay is the greatest, no debate. It's like you're trying to continuously pound into people's heads like you're not seeing what you're seeing. I mean, we're seeing what we're seeing, man. KD2, Magic, and KD1 exist. It is what it is. He's done it in a 2-3 year period at the latter part of his career. So we're supposed to act like that's not happening? As fans of music, this ain't about the individuals. Like, as fans of music, we're supposed to act like this isn't happening. You're not seeing what you're seeing, Coop. You're not hearing what you're hearing. Magic never happened.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to that, man.
More people are talking about this verse than Magic when it dropped on December 24th.
Mike, more people are talking about this than okay. So listen to exactly what I'm saying.
J.I.D. just dropped the album of the year contender too at the same time, you know. And I'm sitting there listening to a lot of these verses. I'm like, this is the verse we're talking about?
MCs don't go on 3 album runs like this typically that are Hall of Fame MCs. This is like
Brady winning the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay.
This is his 3rd time going on a run like this.
Yeah, it's special. Listen, I counted Nas out. I didn't think Nas had it in him.
I was
rating Nas by his legacy.
I'm going to take people back. Before I even joined According to Hip Hop, Mike and I have known each other for 20 years now. But Mike will pull up on Facebook sometimes and be like, Nas is boring. I can't fuck with it. I'd be like, Nas is not boring. Nas is the greatest MC of all time. This is 3 or 4 years before I joined According to Hip Hop. And me and Mike on Facebook would have 2 and 3 day long debates on Facebook about whether Nas is boring or not. You know? And really, and let me submit something to you. He's the one that's the real paradigm shifter of the rhetoric. Kanye's the culture paradigm shifter. Nas is the rhetoric paradigm shifter. It sounded boring because we're about 5-6 years younger than him, and what he was going through, we couldn't relate to. Look at all that stuff that you called boring when we were a little bit younger and how it's aged on you.
You're right. 100%. It's like, okay, I understand now. This is where life is.
I understand him. No, I can't even talk. like when Jay was talking on this verse, he's like, y'all ain't even been to the Bahamas. I was like, oh, I know this nigga's not talking about me. I've been covered that shit about 15, 16 years ago. He talking about these other niggas out here. Talking about these little niggas. You can't talk about me. I spent 10 days in Italy. Like I spent fucking 10 days in France. I spent 10 days everywhere when I go somewhere. You feel me?
Michael Williams with the super chat says, if this were a Jay solo song and split into 2 or 3 verses, will we feel differently? I don't know. And see, this is my answer to that.
Can he split these verses up and give it a hook and make it a song is the question.
The song would not be called God Did with him spitting 3 verses about himself.
It would be called Hove Did.
Exactly.
And that would be even more problematic than what we're discussing and unpacking than that.
Born King with the super chat says Shaky Dog by Ghost was fire. Yes, it was. Eric Terrell with the super chat says so M is a gospel rapper now. No, this is what I will say. I feel like Eminem did a better job of sticking to that theme than most people on this project. And I was actually really impressed by where Eminem took it. Now, again, I don't like the fact that Eminem hadn't responded to Game. I think he should respond. And if he doesn't respond, I never want to hear that narrative that, don't nobody want it with Eminem. Eminem's going to end people's career, blah, blah, blah stuff again. That shit is dead. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not responding to this. But outside of that, with this record, I was impressed by this record. He really dug deep. He really stuck to the theme. And for the first time ever, I actually heard Eminem give praise to the Most High and somebody, you know, outside of himself. He was very vulnerable in this, and I'm very impressed with it. To be perfectly honest. More impressed with his performance than Jay-Z's performance. That's crazy for me to say, but I'm just being honest.
Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
I'm impressed with you for making those sentiments. I actually still prefer Jay's verse to M's verse, but I agree with you about all the things that you said. And I think it means more that you say it, because I think what's important about what we're doing is that, you know, sometimes in what we do, the biases come into play and people think that we are being biased. And so for people to know how you feel about Jay and even how your sentiment has pivoted slightly, sliding him from number 1 to number 2, which is what I would call a slight pivot. Putting somebody at number 1 to number 2 is a slight pivot. It's not a major upheaval. It's not a major upheaval. It's a slight pivot. I'm putting you right here. I'm taking you one place down. For you to say that about M's verse in relationship to Jay's verse, well, it says a lot because of what people have been saying about what you've been saying. And it means that you are listening objectively. What I would submit to you is that I feel like he has done those things that you're talking about on this record. He just hasn't done them to this beat in this moment with this person. Yeah. And so moments matter. Production matters, which is why I've not excoriated Dr. Dre for his role in Eminem not being more part of the hip-hop lexicon in terms of the canon of it. But this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, well, some of this shit on Dre, because part of why this works is the beat. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, this is true. What I was going to say, though, sonically, obviously, the way that Jay approaches a record is more friendly to my ear. But I think that when you actually start bringing in themes like, you know, basically like what he said, gospel rap, or we're talking about speaking about, you know, spirituality, I think that Eminem accomplished that much more than Jay did on his verse. I just do. I think that the braggadocious rhyming is great for maybe another platform, but not great for that song. And maybe not even great for that album. And a lot of that could be on Khaled, right? I mean, because this is his album, and he should be the one directing the situation. Like, look, no, that's not where we're going on this, right? So a lot of that could be on him. But I have to give Eminem props for the fact that, and like you said, maybe he's done this on some of the efforts that I maybe skipped over. But he took this theme and it sounded believable, it sounded real for him, and he accomplished that. And there's no way, just because Jay-Z rapped a lot of bars and rapped for 4 minutes, that I could say I'm more impressed with what Jay did and what M did, because I've never really heard M take it there to that level, and I've heard Jay do these things. You know what I'm saying?
So here's what I would tell you. Let's go back to the 4-3-2-1 conversation. I'm sorry. Water went down the wrong pipe.
That's all good. We here. We got a bunch of people in the room, man. We appreciate y'all being here too, man. This is a great conversation.
No. Thank you, everybody. We need to stop for a second when we get done with the Khaled album and get to our sponsor too.
Yeah, we'll do that. And also, you know, if you guys want to, because we're going to actually play some of this music on our Monday joint on Patreon. We got Patreon pinned up to the top, so you guys can join that discussion as well. So on the Patreon, we're bringing people in, talking to y'all about this stuff, and actually playing the music as well. So click that link so you can join the Patreon. This Monday show is going to be really lit. We got a lot of music to go through.
All the stuff that drops on Friday, we get to play on Monday on our Patreon show and really dissect it and break it down. We had a wonderful breakdown 2 weeks ago on the Black Thought in the Game and even the Meg album.
And I can't wait to change your mind on the JID album too, because that's
You're not changing my mind, Mike. I still have it high. No, Mike, I have it high. This is an easy top 10 album this year, in borderline top 5.
It's top 5.
So don't get I don't want you to get me confused. I don't want you to get me confused about not liking it. I just don't love it the way I think that you did. But I have all my notes up, and we're going to break down my notes. We want to finish up with the Khaled thing and get to the sponsors. Here's what I would tell you, and I want to go back to the 4-3-2-1 thing. When I was in high school, my boy Hub, he's a Michael too. That's why Michael never works as a rap name. There are too many of y'all running around. Guess what? One of my best friends from high school, his name is Michael. Guess what? Your name is Michael. Guess what my younger brother's name is? Michael. That's why Michael's not going to work for a rap name unless you're going to put Archangel in front of it, which is going to be very problematic. Right. So when Cannabis was doing all those verses, I was like, and this is what I mean about Beast from the East, Mike. I felt this way in high school. It's like, he's great. I'm like, can he write a song? I say, because I feel like that nigga DMX can write a song.
You were right.
You can go ask my boy Hub. When 4-3-2-1 dropped, I was like, no. I was like, I know technically he's better. I'm like, but give me him. And Hub used to pick on me in homeroom every day. Ski mask for it, baby. I was like, you just wait. I'm like, you just wait. You get what I'm saying?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because that line right there kind of lets you know that he could make a song.
No, that's what I'm saying. I heard the guy that can make the song, not the lyrical miracle.
You're right.
And so now look at how Cannabis's first album went, and look at how DMX's first album went. And what I would submit to you on the back end of this is like, no, I can tell from the shit that Nas drops that he still knows how to make a song. I do not know that about Jay from this verse. And what was he always ahead of Nas on up until this run? Catalog.
Yeah, song
What's
making.
the catalog about?
Again, I don't think
it's song making. So I don't care if you're rapping for 4 minutes. It would be actually more impressive if Nas were to rap for 4 minutes, because he's the one that's looked at as the more abstract thinker.
Yeah. Let me get to some of these super chats.
Jay's Emmitt Smith. It's 5 yards in a cloud of dust, couple 20-yard runs. I'm going to get 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, making first or second and third team All-Pro.
Stillmatic with the super chat says, so who has the best ear for beats, Game or Ross? I'm going Ross.
Said Ross ever.
Yeah.
I'll take, like, if Rick Ross is in the studio, he should pick the beat, and it doesn't matter who else is in the room. Like that. That's what we're rapping to.
That's what the song sounds
like. In the story. Everybody should sit around and wait for him to say that.
Dead Rich says, Jay sounded like he listens to y'all's show. Allegedly.
Hold on. Can we stop? I just said that to Mike behind the scenes. I said, Mike, did you catch the verse? I said,
who knows, man? Leroy Green listens to the show. We know that.
No, damn that. We talked to Leroy on Monday. We know who Leroy is. We talked to Leroy. I've seen Leroy with my own eyes.
Douglas Vicker says M's verse on Nas's song and Jay's verse on this song are set in the Guinness Book of World Record for feature length. Jay Short with the super chat says Jay is creeping into Eminem territory. Shock value. Yeah, you know what? That length of that verse really made me think that too. That's problematic. Because really,
that's shady. I don't know if I like that.
No, but based on both super chats, the first thing that I heard when I heard how long the verse was, because normally he doesn't do that, I'm like, man, this is EPMD too.
Did you say that to yourself, really?
I did.
I didn't even say that to myself. I didn't.
Mad Max of the super chat says, whoever idea to change John Legend's sound, goated for that, because John Legend sounded dope. Eric Terrell says, Mike, you was correct on how Legend would sound. I did predict that too. I
He
mean,
did.
John Legend sounds the same every record, man. Let's keep it real, man. He needs
We gonna
Kanye.
be rich.
He needs
Every time I
Kanye
see him on a
West.
hook, I just hear "We gonna be rich forever" in the background.
Exactly. That's the approach. Because, you know, it's not. This is the thing, man. I love John Legend, especially his first two albums. Once again, it's one of my favorite R&B albums of that era.
I don't really like that album.
I love that album. Save Room, beautiful. Heaven Only Knows, beautiful.
It sounds like it sounds like Wonder. It sounds like the Stevie Wonder records that didn't get released in its prime.
Slow Dance, Maxine. I love that album. But
yeah, I'm gonna say that again. That's exactly what it sounds like.
But what I was gonna say though is the fact that he's become very predictable in that sense. And when we have these R&B discussions, John Legend's name never comes up. Like when they talk about R&B being dead, king of R&B, blah blah blah, they never even think about John Legend. And I think that's because his style's kind of strayed away from the soulful John Legend that we know.
What is his style?
His style is more so, and I'm taking this from Twitter. Twitter says John Legend makes music for white people's weddings. That's what they say. That's what the public says now. And so it's problematic in many senses, and I feel like the only time that he is brought into black music is when he does that Rich Forever thing. So that's why it's predictable.
White people's weddings.
That's what Twitter said. Twitter said that. I didn't say that. I didn't make that up. I'm not that creative.
Well,
007 with the super chat says flights delayed on the track. LOL. Yo, check out the ain't songs these hymns, cause I'm him is songs 151. This the New Testament, the book of Job. Safe to say he's listening to Magic. Album time, Jigga. I think that bar, again, for me, building up to that bar, and Jay's very, very intelligent, one of the most incredible lyricists ever. Building up to talking about everything that he's done for everybody, and then going into that bar, it feels like the song called God Did, and the fact that Hove did is trending. It feels like he's almost putting himself in a godly place. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's what I was saying. Okay. I'm going to let you inside my life a little bit, Mike. You know what I do every morning when I wake up?
What's that?
I read a psalm and I read a proverb. Want to go through 151 psalm right quick?
151, just for the people out there, isn't 151 missing in a lot of biblical?
Not found. Yeah, not in the King James version.
Right. It's not in the King James version. King James left it out. But yes, please go through the, because I have it written in my notes. But yeah, you go through it.
First of all, most of the Psalms is written by King David.
Right, correct.
David biblically, if I could just contextualize him in the Old Testament, he is considered to be in God's love and favor, only placed ahead by Jesus himself. So literally in God's heart of the people who have walked this earth, it goes Jesus, David. So when we're talking about the blasphemy, when you're speaking in Psalms, you're speaking in the context of David, whom loved God the most and whom God loved back and gave favor to the most.
Correct.
Okay? And this is what I mean about that shaky ground that you walk on, because people that know that, it's like, are you contextualizing yourself to David? Because here's also the thing too. David also murdered and committed adultery. What a lot of people don't understand about David is that part of why David had God's favor and love is because David did wrong. David never committed the same sin twice. As in, when David was wrong, he was contrite, showed contrition, never repeated the sin again, literally would wail in sorrow. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy that's saying, thinking back when we first learned to use rubbers, he didn't learn, so in return, I'm kidnapping his baby's mother. Okay?
Mm-hmm. That's
the same guy saying life short, so play hard and stick hard. Only time you love them is when your dick hard. You feel what I'm saying? These type of transgressions are repeated multiple times on record. Do not tell me they were not repeated in life.
Now he's also said...
So just the comparison to David is inappropriate and improper. You get it?
I get you. But he's also denounced Big Pimpin', to be fair.
I don't care about that. Just the relationship and the appropriation of the relationship to David is inappropriate and improper just off the repetition of sin. This is what I'm talking about. You can kick that shit to people who don't know, but when you talk to somebody who does, like somebody that might wake up and read Proverbs and Psalms every day. Let's get to it.
Yeah, get to it. 151. Psalms 151.
Because this is why he feels that way. I'm gonna tell you, because he's a smart guy. I was the smallest of my brothers, the youngest of my father's sons, which I believe for him is true. He made me shepherd of his flock, ruler over their young. My hands made a flute, music.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My fingers a lyre. Let me give glory to the Lord, I thought to myself. The mountains cannot witness God. The hills cannot proclaim him, but the trees have cherished my words. You see what I'm saying? About how he's contextualizing it to him and making the comparison, which is why I'm bringing up who David is in faith and in spirit.
When I heard this bar, I couldn't wait to hear you contextualize it. So go.
The seed of David got snuck in. Okay, so Adam's lifespan got shortened 30 years. Adam, the first man, was supposed to live to be 1,000. He lived 970 years. His seed literally got snuck in because the devil knows everything that God knows, is that he's not God. He tried to kill David before David ever came to be. So David's life is a miracle unto itself. Adam sacrificed the last 30 years of his life so that the seed of David could live. This is true biblical lineage and glory. Tribe of Abraham. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You are not this. You are not that. You feel what I'm saying? When you were talking this way, you feel what I'm saying?
No, I feel
this is the real tribe. You are not part of the real tribe. You have no proof or no evidence to that. Do not speak and contextualize yourself in this manner because you're the youngest of your father's kids and because you dabbled in music. Do you get what I'm saying about the dangerous territory? Listen to this. But the trees have cherished my words. You see how the trees, there weren't people around David back then. When David used to be out in the fields, you see his brothers, they vilified him. So all he had was the flock of sheep and the trees and God to sing to. So he's also making it seem like he's been vilified and ostracized like David. This motherfucker, the high school quarterback of the varsity team. You feel what I'm saying? Right. He is most popular in class. You are not David. David
we can even see based on the reaction of this verse alone.
David was shunned.
Yeah.
You've never been shunned.
Yeah.
You talking Psalm 151? You better get... Mike.
Let me repeat the bar again. It says, these ain't songs, these are hymns. Because I am him. This is Jay-Z. Yeah, this is Jay-Z's bars now. He said,
hymns.
These ain't songs.
Which is David.
Yeah. These ain't songs, these are hymns. Because I am him. It's the Psalms 151. This is New Testament. The book of Hov. Jesus turned water to wine. For Hov, it just took a stove.
So you're comparing to selling crack to Jesus turning water to wine. It is literally the most blasphemous thing that I've ever heard on record.
And honestly,
you're comparing Jesus because here's what people forget: he wasn't just turning water to wine; he had fed a whole flock before he turned the water to wine.
Correct.
You talking about crack?
It's dangerous, and I think the part that
it's not dangerous. That's just stupid and ignorant. Let's call it what it is. You comparing Jesus taking a flock and feeding the people to you selling crack? Like, are you fucking stupid? Maybe somebody need to tell him.
Let me get to the super chats real quick.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, kick that Farrakhan, Mike Wallace, Psalm 151 shit to somebody who don't know better. This is what's wrong with people like him leading people, because when people like me are informed and call them out on it, I get called a hater. It's like, no, that motherfucker need help. How about that? I'm going to help his ass today, though, since he's watching us, because some of them bars is about us. Since you watching us, you're not David. You're not anything close. And on top of that, why are all y'all why all the Muslims spend so much time talking about Christian prophets? Talk about Muhammad when you spit verses, since you're so concerned with Farrakhan and Allah. And I mean that for all these dudes, because it's funny how all these guys that follow Islam end up talking about David and Abraham and Moses and Isaac. No. Talk about Muhammad.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says, was he bringing up Ye and Riri to let Wayne know that his crew is better than Drake and Nicki? Who knows? I didn't even think that. Darren Harris with the super chat says, I'm going to let y'all finish, but Capadonna's verse on Winter Wars is one of the best guest appearances of all time. Yes, it is. And we were real behind. Talib Abdullah, says, Nas and Jay have been goated battling since Nasir dropped. Nas on the EPMD video surrounded by goats. It's been a sly jab on both ends lately. But Nas is putting in the work. We got to give him that. Miss LB with the super chat says, these ain't songs, this is hymns. Nas, I make gospel in the booth. It might sound like I'm writing hymns. Shaking my head.
Hold on 1 second. I want to get to somebody, the Christian guy, the same dude who does street rappers who sell crack and rap about it. They don't compare themselves to David and bring up Psalms.
Yeah, I think that the difference here is, again, not to interrupt or whatever, but I think that, again,
I am him. Did he not say I am him and bring up Psalm 151? So he left himself open. I don't hear Pusha T, Benny, Conway, any of them street dudes doing that. You hear Game doing that? You hear any of them street dudes bringing up Psalm 151 and speaking about hymns and saying I am him? Where?
I think the other part of it for me was the fact that between Ross, Wayne, and even Eminem, who's on the next song, they had no problem praising God on the record. If that's what the theme is, and that's what you're on, and that's what the record you're on, the song is called God Did. It's like with that whole 4 minutes, he went out of his way to not mention anything God did.
Mike, in the end of days, the blasphemy is going to come right in your face by the world's leaders.
Yeah, it's true.
It's going to be right in front of you for plain sight, and people are going to ignore it. It was written.
Yeah.
It was written that the blasphemy and that the mark is going to be right in front of you, and you're not going to be paying attention to when the words are being spoken to you. The people are going to be blinded by it. Yeah. This is literally written. The people are not going to pay attention to the blasphemies that are taking place in front of them in the end of day. Look at what he is saying right after it says, the mountains cannot witness to God, the hills cannot proclaim him, but the trees have cherished my words, the flocks my deeds. Listen to this. Who can proclaim? Who can announce? Who can declare the Lord's deeds? God has seen everything. God has heard everything. God has listened. God sent his prophet to anoint me.
Sean,
really?
Yeah. Sean,
really?
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Yeah. It's there.
Blasphemy.
It is.
This is like blasphemy of the highest order. This is what is talked about in Revelations. Like, this is it. About how the people who lead you will lead you astray because they will blaspheme the Lord's name in vain at will.
This was right in our face, too.
It was written.
Yeah.
Go read Revelations.
Let me get to some of these super chats so we can, continue on with this.
This is a ridiculous that people think that I'm the one taking issue.
Yeah.
No. He the one with issues. He the one with the God complex.
I'm seeing people saying that we're taking this too deep, but I mean, again, this is literary works that we need to dissect and unpack.
Save it and put it down. No, according to hip-hop, it's a historical piece. Put it down that I said this. Explain his contextualization of Psalm 151 from someone who is a follower of Farrakhan anyway. What you going to read in Psalm 151 anyway?
Well, I know Farrakhan.
What I'm going to tell you is that the Muslims believe in the Old Testament. But it's like, give me some scriptures from the Quran. Because the Quran actually gives you the order on how you live your life. But if we talk about the order about how you live your life, well, these niggas can't have sex out of wedlock, can't smoke, can't drink, can't do none of the stuff that they do and actually be Muslim. And that's why they speak about the Christian things, because it is more of a free-for-all phone. I see the phony shit that you do. See, you want to have a Muslim, you want to be Muslim to the public so you can empower the black people, but you want to live a Christian lifestyle. You can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't commit infidelity to make your wife make lemonade, nigga. Right. You can't do that shit when you're really a Muslim. You know that, right?
No, you're right.
That's literally against the order of how you're supposed to live your life. These motherfuckers out here be so phony. At least the street rappers that I like don't contextualize Psalm 151 when they talking to try to prove their points. They actually do the opposite. That's why I like Pusha T so much. He's like, no, I'm the villain, and I like being the villain, and is honest about being the villain. Give me the motherfucker that's giving it to me straight.
I agree with you. It's not deceptive in that way. Let me get
Not
through
deceptive.
these super
Let
chats.
the smoker shine the coop, Mike. It's not deceptive at all.
No.
If money is the evil root, then let the smoker shine the coop. See, Jesus sat down with people who told the truth of all walks of life. That's who he was.
Let me finish these super chats so we can get everybody caught up in the conversation. Sean with the super chat says, guys, the last time Jay sounded good was that Meek Mill joint coming full circle. He came back on the track with Ross again. This begs the question. Ross said, I write for your favorite rappers. Nah, I don't think Ross is writing for Jay. But again, like I've said before, when it comes to musical direction, and I think that, you know, for a certain period, Jay has kind of leaned on Kanye for musical direction. Maybe he leans on Ross for musical direction to a certain extent too, because he's made a lot of records with Ross. He's made more records with Ross than he's made records with anybody outside of Ye in the past 10. Yeah, they got Maybach Music. They got a whole bunch of records.
Because he's the best beat picker ever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, for everything that I'm saying, that's about him being blasphemous. On some rap shit, he's ahead. He knows that Ross is the best beat picker ever too. Mm-hmm. Because he's the guy that picks Sunshine, and I know what girls like. So he knows Ross is a better beat picker. Give me the beat he picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows.
Non-plus with the super chat says, got to give Jay's marketing team their flowers. They're the real MVP. Leroy Green in the building said, peace, gods. And the NOI, peace to the gods and NOI, Hove and the Christian faith. But respectfully, I'm going to show y'all why all are one, governed by the same son. God. Goat talk.
No, see, here's what I'm saying. Okay, so like American Muslims are the one that are separating things. I've always said this. People don't understand. First of all, the Prophet Muhammad, who started the Nation of Islam, he married a Christian believing woman and followed some Christian values within his own home. When he fled under Christian protection once upon a time. When he would have his forums about Islam, invited the Buddhists and the Christian leaders every year to forums. He wanted everybody to be together. So these Muslims that try to separate themselves, that was not the intention of your founder. Mm. Your founder literally invited everybody from every religion and every walk to his conventions every year to try to help bring it together, even though people's ideologies were different. That's the fundamental basis and structures that Islam was built off of. Most of Black American men don't even know that. And they sit up there and will go follow. And it is foolish.
Mike 100 with the super chat says, Jay-Z's verse was just okay. Billy to billion to billionaire. If that's what he's talking about, what else can we talk about? Douglas Vicker with the super chat says, Jay, name drop more than game. Yo, wow. I'm going to get to the bottom of these so we can get on to the JID album. But not to say that I'm not loving this discussion. Yes, we got to get to our sponsor as well. Flipper says, Guru is the equivalent of Rich Paul, bragging about Bron scoring 40 points in an all-star game. A verse on Khaled's album ain't Game 7, my dude. He is a pom-pom. We need an album. The people want an album, man.
Hold on, and listen to what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I want to be clear about this. And I'm saying this very, very seriously. My older brothers are Muslims. My father's a Muslim. I'm around it all the time. Mm-hmm. So this isn't something that I'm like knowledgeable of up close and personal about what it should and what it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mad Max
this is right on the side of my tribe.
Mad Max with the super chat says Nas is only boring to people that don't like mystic talk. Like one of my mans told me, Max, you only like Nas because he's God body type of guy. You into the Israelites or the 5% talk. So I guess Nas is an acquired taste. I've always loved
Right.
Nas, and honestly, man, sometimes I was trolling Coop because I know he was a super Nas fan, and Nas fans in that period would say
Yes.
everything that Nas made was the greatest shit ever. I love Nas, and I think
No, it
my
is.
standards for Nas was always so high based on the shit that he made in '94 and '96, and all that was unreasonable. But he's showing me now that this longevity that Nas is on right now, it's undeniable. It's just like my friends that used to debate me about Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. They have jumped on the train now. They're like, yo, I can't even deny it. Tom Brady's the greatest ever. Mad Max also says, but Nas is not boring. He's just a poet. It's like the Floyd Mayweather is boring. He's not. He's just a true fighter and a master of the sweat science and the genius. Yeah.
Hey, all I'm saying is, here's the thing. How about this?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want people to understand. Jay did an album of Jay Electronica, right?
Mm-hmm. He didn't put his name on
You want to know what?
it. He didn't put
Right.
his name on. I think that's important for people to know, though.
Let's go back to that. Who does Jay Electronica follow?
The Nation of Islam.
Okay. What is Jay-Z's rhetoric on that album?
It's very NOI-ish. I liked it. And, that's honestly, when it comes to hip-hop, that's some of my favorite approaches. I'm a big fan
No, I
of
enjoyed
that.
it.
Yeah. Death
No, I enjoyed
Certificate's
it.
one of my favorite albums
I
ever.
believe we gave it a 4 or 4.25. I believe we got a 4.25.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, actually, literally right before Alfredo and Pray for Paris dropped, it's like, well, it's the best album this year so far. What we said.
It was actually the album that jumped off this podcast.
It was the album that jumped off this podcast. That is correct. It's funny how it happened. Also, Nas channel, we got jumped off of the Jay Electronica and Jay-Z album. It was based on an article review that I wrote.
Yep.
Remember that when I actually used to write these things? Right. So much easier to write them. So much more fun for me.
This is fun, too.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. When do you ever hear Christians talking about Allah or Muslim ideologies or Quranic scriptures? Don't tell me that it's not problematic and that I'm tripping then.
Yeah.
Give me some evidence of where like these lines and these borders are being crossed, or is it just Jay that gets to do it uninhibited, unreproached?
Well,
because
again,
I'm gonna approach him about this shit because I'm a Christian man that has Muslim family members that literally are right there. Me and my father, Mike, do you remember when you came to the old house that had the acres of land on it?
Yeah.
Were you there when my father showed up?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I remember your mom showed up.
Yeah, you had left. Okay, so these motherfuckers showed up so late, Mike. So 4 of my brothers showed up that night and my father, but that wasn't the highlight of the night. The same place where we sat out on the patio at the lake and drank all night, my father sat out there with me till literally 5:15 in the morning till it was time for me to go to work at the airport to explain to me why Jesus didn't exist and wasn't real because he's a Muslim. We literally sat outside and drank and talked about it for 4 hours non-stop. You get what I'm saying? So I do this. You feel what I'm saying? Like, my father's memory to recite is better than Jay, yours, and mine put together. He was sitting up there spitting out scripture, Quran, Umbutara, like off the dome. That's where I get my shit from. He's super sick. We literally fighting. My mom and my aunt are in the back in my aunt's room like, these niggas, shut up.
Well, you know what?
This goes on, Mike, in my house, in my home. And so I know that he out of pocket because my father don't speak this way.
Well, cool. This is the answer to your question.
That's what I'm saying. My father don't speak this way. My father's a Muslim. He don't speak this way and cross these lines. Don't tell me that it's okay.
Cool. You're right. But I'm going to answer your question as to the why of it all. The same reason why Khaled named this album God Did as opposed to Allah Did. I mean, it's right here. He says the album's called God Did, but is executive produced by Allah. So you can't sell that. That's why the rhetoric jumps over to the Christian beliefs. Because he can't sell the other talk.
Hold on, hold on. No, I want to pause for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Our senior writer, Denim, is in the chat. Denim actually has an article that's about to drop from us as soon as my ass gets done editing it, which is my fault. Denim's article actually should be down now. Denim and her older brother are Islamic, of the Islamic faith. And so she's literally in the chat right now. I see you, Denim. What up?
What up, Denim? I want to get through these super chats.
Hold on,
too.
no, listen to what she's saying, because this is important too. NOI is different from Islam, Coop. And listen to what she's saying. We believe Jesus was one of the most important prophets. Okay, now, if that's the case, that is different, because a typical Islamic man believes in all the Old Testament prophets and does not believe in Jesus. And so if she is saying that rhetoric is changed, that does change that changes the standard and the bar. But then what I would tell you is that this is what I mean about there's American Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the people who are from overseas don't respect the American Muslims as much because they feel like some of it's been watered down and the rhetoric is different. This would be a perfect time to bring Denim on, because she can actually speak to some of this as somebody who's known me since she was almost a teenager. I've known Denim since she was 19, I think, or 20, just about. And I think I even knew her before she actually joined the nation. And she's actually, and this is one of the beautiful things about what we're doing with According to Hip Hop. Our senior writer is a Muslim. You know what I mean? I'm a Baptist Christian. You know what I'm saying? So we need to have these conversations healthily. The Psalm 151 thing is the big thing that I would raise issue with. Okay, Denim saying she's a Sunni Muslim. Okay, Denim. So my pops is a Sunni. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't believe in Jesus, though. So juxtapose that for me, how NOI works now, because my father joined the Nation of Islam when I was he became a member of Islam when I was young, before I believe the NOI was even an official thing. And as a Sunni Muslim, he does not believe that Jesus Christ is a prophet. He does not believe Jesus is real. He believes Jesus is a story that comes from the Anunnaki, comes from the Sumerian culture, the original civilization. Which I do still believe is original man. He's all black first, but
I feel like we're gonna really have a big discussion on the Patreon on Monday.
Yeah, we're gonna have that discussion on the Patreon. Let's slide to our sponsor.
Let me get through these super chats real quick, man. Michael Williams says, "Damn, I thought you two were about to would be higher on this verse. This was basically Dope Boy J, which is which I know is your favorite version of J. Yes, but it's just the context of the record. I don't have a problem with the quality of the verse per se. I just think that the time and place and the title of the record and the approach to the record is all wrong. That's just my point. You know what I mean? And I think Wayne showed him right before him how to actually properly contextualize this record and be a part of this record.
Right. So here we go with the Isa thing. Okay. So like what I'm saying is that you always speaking about Isa in the Quran. Right. That's also what Nas is speaking to intro on It Was Written. The acknowledgement by the Muslim community of Jesus as a prophet. Yeah. Show it to me. Including Denim. No, including Denim, because here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying show me the evidence that differs from what I've been told by Muslims in Islamic faith that they follow. Even, you ever notice in Malcolm X, even in the movie, how they're talking about, tonight we're going to learn about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Old Testament prophets, Moses. No. Believe in those. Jesus is where things pivoted typically for Christian, Jewish, and Islamic faith. Jesus is the pivot point. Now explain to me how the pivot changed. Acknowledgement and appreciation and hierarchy as a prophet is different things. It's like, no, okay, so let's say you acknowledge Jesus exists. Do you believe he was a prophet?
Right.
Because you acknowledge Moses, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the tribe as prophets.
Right.
Right. Malcolm X taught most of the people who know their Old Testament stuff that are part of the nation, that are in our age demographic, their parents learned from Malcolm.
Yeah.
And a young Farrakhan.
Yeah.
About Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They did not learn from Christian leaders about these men.
No, you're right. Born King with the super chat says, Foul Breeze by Nas is an 8-minute long no hook and it's fire. I got to get through these super chats so we can get on, Coop. Mr. Mark with the super chat says, Jay's cheerleaders for their guy, cheerleads for their guy, and that's what you want. What is stopping Nas's team from doing the same? Well, clearly when we look at the major publications, they're not on Nas's team. I think Jay's team is very vast. And that's why when I hear, somebody said Mike did. That's why when I hear Khaled talk about, they didn't want us to do this. They didn't. Who is they? Seems like everybody's on Khaled's team.
Everybody wants y'all to win. We the best.
Look at his album listing. And look at all the people that co-signed the records or whatever. Like when you go under his post, I mean, Diddy got in there talking about some, man, this is a required listening, man. This album must be listened to. So who is they that is holding Khaled back? Like, that's the part I want to know.
Let's do a couple things. Let's get to the breakdown. First of all, I don't think this album is as bad as you thought that it was going to be. What do you say to that?
Again, I think the theme for me throws it all the way off. I think that, some of the songs, let me get to the track list. Some of the records I like.
No, I got the track list right here. Let's go in order.
No, I got it on the screen.
No Secret.
No Secret. No Not Secret. A song. Not a song.
God Did.
God Did is a good song. It's a good song.
Use This Gospel. Did you like it?
I liked it.
I did too. Big Time. Did you like Big Time?
I don't think it's appropriate for the record.
Okay, so here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The balancing act of the whole bringing the faith into it. That's the problem, because here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what my pastor tells me. There is no gray area.
It made no sense.
You're all the way or you're not. And so if you want to bring into question that, that's fine. Where's the music for you? Do you like the song?
It's hard for me to even place it. I mean, it's not a bad song.
It's hard to go from Use This Gospel to Big Time.
Exactly. And the album's called God Did. I think the takeoff in Quavo song is, I actually like it. But then Quavo goes on there, God Did. It was like buying bitches bottles or whatever he said. It's like, nah, man, let's not do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a dope record, though.
It is a dope record, sonically, but it's like, when you're putting it in this context, it's like, it's hard for me to, but again, it's Khaled's album, right? And so these are Khaled problems, because we just saw with Donda, Kanye was able to reel everybody into one message. It was Khaled's job to reel people into a message, and he didn't do that. So I'm judging this album and these individual songs on his ability or inability to reel people into his thing. If this is the thing he wants to take on. You understand what I'm saying?
That is where you and I defer, because I did not think he was going to be able to do that anyway.
I didn't either, but you shouldn't even attempt.
So I just wanted to hear. I'm gonna be honest with you, his last album was some mid for real. Like some straight up, like there's literally like 2 or 3 songs on both of the projects. This is a little better than that.
It is.
I like the broken up Migos joint. I like Takeoff and Quavo's joint.
I do too.
I'm gonna tell you what my favorite joint is. The Fam Good We Good with Gunna and Roddy Ricch. Or I'm riding to that, Mike.
It's a good song.
I'm riding to that. It's like, I don't know if it's on the God Did album, because if it did, it's problematic. Even if it's problematic.
But cool, as far
as the ride factor in the music, no, if we're gonna separate it from the theme and the motif and just get to the music, that whole Fam Good, We Good, and the Bills Paid with Lotto and City Girls, no, them two, that shit snaps, Mike. It snaps.
I feel you. But
Mike play it tonight when I ride out. Mike, I might play it tonight when I ride out.
The problem is that even shows me that even. But Coop, that shows me even more that he used this title to sell this record.
No, you're totally right.
And so for me, that kind of disqualifies a lot of
God for centuries, Mike. People have been abusing God and misappropriating God and Jesus for centuries. And so when Khaled does it, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not surprised. I'm going to unpack the shit a little further, because he got specific. He went to Psalm 151 and said, I am him, and then brought up Psalm 151, which means you're juxtaposing yourself to either David, Christ, or the faith overall, while your faith is really more aligned with 5%er and NOI ideology. And yeah, I'm going to pull flags and pull your card about it, because apparently nobody else is going to do it and call it verse of the year. But I enjoyed the verse more than you, actually.
Yeah. But again, he followed the line with, Jesus turned water to wine. All Hove needed was a stove. And didn't even say I or J, it's Hove. And the words are important, and the placement of the words are important. We're not looking at this too deep. This man is an incredible lyricist. You know what I'm saying? We can't just sit here and break down all the positive shit and not break down the questionable shit and act like,
Okay, so
what I'm saying?
Like this.
Yeah.
Look at it like this. Since we've done this show, some people, even like Lupe, think that I'm arrogant or too smart for my own good or entitled or narcissistic. What do you think a guy who is as intelligent as me with $1 billion might think of himself, Mike?
Who knows?
You feel me? You feel me? Like, these are dangerous things. I don't speak from a place of being above reproach. I speak from a place of it's like, no, money, power corrupts. It's biblical. It's cyclical. It's never going to change. It's rare that you find a man that is not affected by these things and audit himself properly.
That's fair.
It's rare. It's just rare. So stop making it seem like it's above reproach to approach. He just happens to be in a sphere of space and a sphere in time where social media and the marketplace and him. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing with Ye. It's the timing of that. No. There's been you before. I tell people, Jesus is the first rapper, Mike. He shows up to speak, and crowds come from all around. Literally flock for days. Is that not like what it's like when you go see a show? You know what I'm saying? He is the Beatles. He is Michael Jackson. He is the Rolling Stones. He's Prince. He's Rakim in 88. He's Nas in 94. He's Hove in 01. He's Big in 97. He's Pac in 96. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. He is all those things. He didn't do nothing but show up and speak. The same way you just show up and rap. So I get why you can juxtapose it and put it together, but you're not him.
Yeah.
Him turning water to wine and taking a loaf of bread and feeding hundreds and feeding thousands. It's not the same as you cooking crack in Marcy. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. This is the thing. And I know that our viewers are going to be like, he's using that as an analogy and this and that. Yeah, I understand what he's doing with the analogy. It's just inappropriate. You know what I'm saying?
It's just wrong. No, I get what he's doing.
Yeah, I get what he's doing, but it's just inappropriate.
And this is his intelligent and articulate and artistic people who happen to be well-read telling him, no.
But the thing is, we make that okay.
Because he's a human being. No, because just like you could go talk to Jesus, this is what I'm saying. See, Jesus hung out with the prostitutes, the pimps, the beggars, the lowest of the low. And so when you're telling me that I can't pull up on him and tell him these things, well, that really doesn't fit with the motif and the archetype he just got done expressing. Now, does it?
Now, that's true. Let me get to the rest of these super chats.
Right.
Mad Max
Checks and balances.
Mad Max of the super chat says, well, the Most High loved David because David thought like him. David was a man of war, so is the Most High. And he was only mad at David because he slept with Ara's wife. And then Ara killed. That's why, Israel fell. I feel like we're really, really behind on these super chats. Let me catch up because that
very problematic. Murder and adultery is a problem. Just so we're clear, murder and adultery is not something that gets passed over slightly. Like he's like, oh, he just killed the person. He just committed adultery. It's like no, no.
Keep talking about some of the. Oh, let me get to this one. Douglas Vicker says
super chats while we talk about this CBD.
Yeah, go ahead.
Relaxed relief. No.
Douglas Vicker says, damn, Coop, preaching in the church. I know God is smiling. Love you, bruh. Deacon. Yes. We got NDU Jams.
In my next profession. Yeah.
NDU Jam says, I'm glad Jay-Z's verse came out before KD3. Nas is observing. Also, I wonder how much money DJ Khaled has to spend on all those features. I don't think anything, to be honest.
I don't think he's spending anything.
I don't either. I don't understand the whole system.
You and I know these are the games we play.
Yeah. Mention Mike with the super chat says, my nephew funny. He said that he is not God. It's garbage. Ray Reynolds with the super chat says, we have to take into consideration that Jay-Z is God body. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe this might not have been the song for him. That's the only thing I'm saying. Eric Terrell with the super chat says Beyonce said in the Church Girl song that only I can judge me, not God can judge me. It runs in the family. Yeah, and I remember when the pastor spoke out on that. People kind of was coming to him. Let me get through this and we'll get to our sponsor. Born King says, many of us 5%ers don't see those men of scripture above or better than us. That's just what it is.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're some of the worst.
Yeah.
So look here. You should look at them that way. When Paul was speaking about the other disciples in his celibacy, he was letting you know, he talks about his path of celibacy in the New Testament. Paul does. And he lets you know that his path is a unique one in relationship to his counterparts to let you know that the other disciples is out here getting laid because he's celibate. He's letting you know through his celibacy that the rest of them are fornicating. So yes, like part of the reason why it works is because it lets you know that God will choose the iniquity and place it up high. But only when that iniquity is humble, Mike. None of them are arrogant or proclaiming that in self. It is a glory that is bestowed upon them, not something that they claim for themselves. You don't get to claim the glory. He bestows the glory and the honor upon you because of your humility in your work. What we doing?
Danielle with the super chat says, what do you say for people who say, but Nas went to hell for snuffing Jesus and labeled that as blasphemy?
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the, hold on. I don't like the whole broads playing with pentagrams in their vagina.
Yeah.
Remember that on Man? I don't like that either.
Yeah.
I don't like that whole my lifestyle predicted by a gypsy line and taken in blood. I'm consistent.
Yeah, you are. Esquire with the super chat says, in all fairness, Nas has expressed contradictory stances on religion too. See, carry the cross, and comparing to Muslim references, he mentioned it on smoking.
And I don't like it.
Yeah, Cooper's been consistent on that, and I'm going to be honest with that.
And I don't like it. And every time Nas does it, I'll tell you, it's like, nah, I don't like that shit. Because here's the thing. You can tell that Nas has played with the mystic.
Yeah.
Or been around people that have. No, I don't like it.
Jay Short with the super chat
I don't like it.
Says, Jay out here rapping like 97 Madonna with all the blasphemy. She was at the desperate point in her career trying to get attention, and he sounds so too. Let's see. Born King says, what are you talking about? There's a chapter in the Quran called Isa, Jesus.
I just brought up the Isa thing.
Yeah.
See?
I think we're
what I'm
just
saying.
behind.
You see, I already was going with the Isa thing. Like, I already know, fam. You talk like, fam, you don't, like, y'all don't know me. It's like, I come off like I'm well-read. It's like, I'm even more well-read than you think I am. It's like, I know about the Isa thing. The Isa thing is not a mark to sit up there and say that Jesus is a prophet. Does the Quran say that Jesus is a prophet?
I think
Answer
I'm just
that
behind
question.
on the super chats.
I don't see anywhere in the Quran where it says Jesus is a prophet. It says Abraham's a prophet. It says Moses a prophet. Isaac a prophet. Jacob a prophet. It says that in the Quran. Says that.
You're gonna have people wanting to battle you on the Patreon.
Like, no, just stop playing with me. Like, y'all gotta stop playing with me like with the little stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know that the Quran didn't call Jesus a prophet.
Flipper says,
you know it.
This ain't Dope Boy Jay. It's holier than thou Jay. Let's see. I'm getting to him, man.
Y'all really says yes, it does. Yes, it does. She says the Quran does. Okay, they're saying it does call Jesus a prophet. Where?
Let's see. Hold on. Let me get to this.
See, this is what I'm saying. Okay, so
Mad Max with the super chat says the Christians.
This is what I'm saying. Isa can go back to Egyptian. Can go back to the Egyptian. You get what I'm saying? Go back to Egyptian deities too, in terms of you get what I'm saying. Isis.
Right.
Right. And Osiris. Right.
Mad Max with
the
super chat says the Christians I've met only co-sign the New Testament and not the Old Testament, which is why they eat pork, saying God cleared it. So it's not just the NOI, conflating. That's true. I've heard Christians say that as well. Sean says Jadakiss never let you down when it comes to his feature. Jada is a legend. I did like Jada's feature on this album.
So let's go to the best features on the album, and then let's go to our sponsor. I got Kiss Wayne, and Jay in that order in terms of the best appearances.
Let me see. I liked Ross's appearance too. I did.
You do?
I think Ross set it off. He set the tone. But I'm kind of with you on that. The thing with the Jay and the Wayne thing, and I liked Eminem's performance too.
I asked people to tell me in the Quran where they acknowledge Jesus as a prophet, because I'm not privy to like where that is in the Quran, and I've read the Quran, so maybe I missed it. Where they're acknowledging Jesus as a prophet. Like, I just want to know where it is. Like, show it to me so I can pull it up and read it myself. Not what you're telling me. Show me what I read, the same way I read Psalm 151 with clarity, to show you how he was trying to compare and to show you what it really is versus what it wasn't. Like, do me the same justice in the same ordinance, in the same diligence that I'm doing you. Just don't tell me. I'm saying that respectfully because we're having a serious conversation about those things. It's like, no. If the Quran is saying Jesus is a prophet, show me. Because I don't hear my Muslim brothers and sisters out here telling me that.
I want to get through these super chats too, and you're right. Just send in the actual scripture. We'll quote it right here. I want to get through these super chats so we can get to the sponsor and then get to JID and kind of, I guess, wrap up the whole Khaled album.
It calls him Isa. Isa can be interpreted in different time frames and different time periods as not just Jesus. Isa is not a direct reflection of Jesus, because some people feel like the story of Horus is really the story of Jesus, which precedes Jesus. That's why the Isa thing is not going to work for me. Show me where they're calling him the Christian name that he was given, the same way that the Quran says Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Show me where they say Jesus, because we call him Jesus. Do y'all not call Abraham Abraham? Do you not call Isaac Isaac? Do you not call Jacob Jacob? So if there is no difference, then show me where Jesus is in the Quran. I understand what I'm saying. You see where words and contextualization matters? Because Isa in Aramaic and Hebrew language can be interpreted a multitude of ways. Where's Jesus in the Quran? You keep saying Isa. I know the story of Isa. It's been reinterpreted a multitude of times, which is part of why a lot of the Muslims do not believe in Jesus. But you say Abraham, don't you? And Jacob, don't you? And Isaac, then say Jesus and not Isa and claim him as a prophet.
Let me get through these super chats, Cooper. That's a fair point.
I'll wait. I'm very well read and versed. I'll wait.
Mad Max says, if Christians say only the New Testament counts, then they don't have the right to claim David. That's why other people of faith use the words, because of all the faiths. Christians make up stuff the most. Let's see. Let me get Mad Max again. Said it's all blasphemy.
I don't hear any facts.
He said it's all
blasphemy. I don't hear any facts.
Hold on. Let me finish these, Coop. We got to get through this. He said it's all blasphemous though, but this is Babylon. So Hov got his babble on, or just cleverly laughing my ass off. Let's see. Let me get to these. DJ Bruce Almighty says, what did y'all think about Dame saying that Ye was the greatest Rockefeller artist? He said Jay rapped for money and Ye rapped for the love. He said that, I agree with where Dame came from. Let me put some context to this. Dame was asked what artist represents Rockefeller Records the best, and he said that he would pick Kanye over Jay as an artist anytime, because Kanye is an artist that does it for the art, where Jay is an artist that does it for the money. And he said that he worked with both of them, so he can make that assessment. And I think he might be the most qualified person to ever make that assessment. And based on the output, I can't disagree. Flipper says Microphone Fiend and Verbal Intercourse didn't need a Marcy's parade rollout to tell us how dope the verse was. And to piggyback on that, and I'm going to be honest, I got to be fair here. This is very Eminem-ish, and I say this about Eminem all the time. When people question, like, oh, yo, you think Eminem's not dope? Rakim said this, blah, blah, blah said this. This is what all this J fanfare feels like. If a verse is dope, we don't need everybody in the world sitting here giving us breakdowns and shit. It is what it is. We didn't need, Haas and Jungle to come out and tell us that Magic was crazy. We didn't need that. It just was. I think I'm almost through with the super chats, Coop, and then we can get to our sponsor. We can get going on to the next subject. Mr. Mark with the super chat says, y'all turn this into a religious class, LOL. What's your actual take on the bar work and the cadence of Jay's verse? He was in pocket for the most part. Yeah, we already said that, man. The bar work is dope.
I already went through all that. I actually like the verse more than Mike does. And it is a dope verse. But show me the story of Jesus in the Quran. Y'all saying it's saying
oh my God, we gotta move on. We gotta move on. They're gonna do it.
It's just they're saying it. It's like saying it. It's like, what's the story of Isa about? So tell me what the story of Isa is about in the Quran, because it's funny. Like the story of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob in the Quran, like it's the same as it is like in the Bible. You see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Like, right. So people are sitting up here acting like I'm ignorant. It's like, no, I'm just like, telling you the truth, and maybe you don't want to deal with the truth.
Nas the Goat says, I don't want this type of smoke on Patreon. Shout out to Nas the Goat.
Okay, no. Okay.
Hold on, let me finish these real quick.
I'm gonna pull up the scripture. No, I'm pull up the scripture. You're gonna start off with our sponsor, and we're gonna move on.
All right, let me finish these super chats though. I want to respect the people putting in money or whatnot. Yeah, I'm still going through the super chats. DJ Bruce Almighty says, Coop, remember, you're able to speak freely. We're paying per word. Just kidding. Let's see. Oh, there's another one that I missed. Ray Realm says, Coop, what are your thoughts on Kemet? And I think I'm finally done. Boom. Okay, great.
Right.
Now we back. Relax and Relief, our sponsor. Shout out to Relax and Relief, CBD, promo code A2HH, 10% off with any of the orders that you're putting in if you put in the promo code A2HH. Have you had your Relax and Relief today, Coop?
I was fine until this.
Huh?
No. All jokes aside, I haven't today because of all the running around that I've done. I do have my CBD.
Let's see. I think I got my joint handy as well.
You got your gummies?
I do have my gummies. I think I'm gonna probably take one on air real quick. But let me put the promo back up for everybody. While I open
what I want to share this week about our product is that I wish that stuff like this was around when I was younger. For the men in my family, I come from a military family. My uncle was a drill sergeant in Vietnam. God rest his soul, my Uncle Jeff. And my grandfather, Jesse, got his Purple Heart in the Korean War. My grandfather lost his eye on a landmine in the Korean War.
Oh, wow.
He was placed in a body bag on a ship and called the Cooper family and was told that he was dead. Back then, they used to poke the bags to make sure people were still alive in the bag. When they poked my grandfather's bag, he gasped for air. The bag called the family, told him he was alive. But obviously, because of all of the things that he had been through, like the traumatic situation that I'm explaining, he suffered from a severe case of PTSD. We had to be very, very quiet in our home, especially at night. My grandfather, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, would be screaming at the top of his lungs because landmines, gunfire, the PTSD from being in Korea. This would have helped, Mike. It would have helped. There were literally times where my grandfather got up in the middle of the night and took for cover, like it was a bomb shelter brigade activity in Korea due to the PTSD. This is like 1995. This stuff wasn't really going on West Boulevard in Charlotte, North Carolina then. And so today, when I was thinking about my day, I was actually thinking about how much the men who raised me, because I didn't grow up with my father or my stepfather really, my uncle and my grandfather raised me. And so part of the reason why I am, I was raised by military men. So it's like, I don't play that shit. I'm strict. I'm straight to the point. I ain't trying to hear all that extra stuff. But part of that is because I dealt with 2 men who had post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, from what they went through. And this is one of those things that would have helped with that. And that was what was on my mind today when I was thinking about the product. I wasn't even thinking about myself. I've actually been good the last few days until all of this. I've been thinking about them all day and how, you know, they would just do stuff sometimes, Mike, and you wouldn't really know why.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, now I know why. Because it's like, I'm traumatized by, like, you know, the streets, women, life. These men went to war and put their life on the line.
Was in a
My
body
grandfather
bag,
lost his
bro.
eye on a landmine. You understand what I'm saying? My grandfather lost his eye on a landmine. They thought he was dead.
That's insane, man. Both of my grandfathers, they served as well, and I can't imagine what they saw, you know? And
Right.
I can't imagine. And, you know, and from my perspective, you know, growing up around them, they were fine, but you never know, you know what I'm saying, what goes on in, I mean, men's heads, especially black men of that era, growing up in Alabama and actually serving, like, they've seen a lot. And the fact that they were able to put on, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
my grandfather's from Kershaw, South Carolina, Mike.
Yeah.
Like you know, the country. My family from Charleston and Sumter, Low Country originally. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's different when you're coming from that type of like unsavory background. You know, the military was a way out for a lot of these guys, and it left them with a lot of scars that, quite frankly, we had to pick up as grown men. Like my uncle. If you misbehaved around my uncle when you were a kid, he would make you take your index finger and lean into the wall. And you would have to hold your whole body up with your index finger until you collapsed. And Mike, when you collapsed, you know the first thing that hit the wall? Your head. PTSD. That's how he raised us. You know, like, no, you want to fuck up? Put your finger up in the wall then. You know what I'm saying?
And, you know, they came back and weren't promised a lot of things that they were promised. The GI Bill. Those are things that black soldiers were supposed to receive. They were supposed to receive a voucher for home ownership. Didn't receive those things. And, you know, you come back thinking that, you know, you survived this and you, like you said, it was a way out. And not only a way out, but a come up too when you come back and weren't given those things that they were promised, but their white counterparts were. But yes, Relax and Relief, CBD, promo code A2HH. Tell them we sent you. Tell them Mike D and Coop sent you.
And this is what I mean. My grandfather was top of his class at North Carolina A&T. He had to come back and be a janitor, Mike.
Man.
And he owned, listen to this. He was a janitor who owned 7 acres of land on the west side of Charlotte.
Wow.
Right.
Our grandparents did some amazing shit, man.
Yeah, they did.
Billy Bars.
Relax and relief for the ancestors who aren't here, who actually needed it more than us, who really went through it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we got a way out of our stress, right?
We got a way out of our shit, yeah.
Billy Bars with the super chat says, Jesus in Koine Greek, which is the Bible was written in. The letter J was invented later. Jesus, Yeshua, Jesus. We have the original text. Isa doesn't exist. LOL. I saw another super chat.
You know, I'll be poking at all of y'all a little bit too, but here's the reality of the matter too. I've got a couple of scriptures and I'm going to read them, and it's in relationship. But listen to what I'm saying. Even the scriptures that they've given me so far, it's talking about Moses and the lineage and how it led to Jesus. That's not an acknowledgement. That's a lineage breakdown. That's not an acknowledgement. Show me where you're calling Jesus a prophet in the Quran. I'm going to say it again because even the scriptures y'all gave me, I am familiar with acknowledging his presence, but not as a prophet. I said acknowledge him. Where is he acknowledged as a prophet in the Quran? See, I'm specific when I speak. I didn't say the acknowledgement of Jesus. I said, where's the acknowledgement of Jesus as a prophet, the way Moses is called a prophet, the way Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are called prophets. They acknowledge the lineage. They do not acknowledge the prophecy. The prophecy would be what matters the most.
This is true. Mad Max with the super chat says, "LOL, this just dawned on me. Rakim name is Rakim Allah, the God MC. So he was conflating too. That's
Ra
just
and
hilarious
Kim,
to me.
the sun god. Hold on, Ra and Kim. Those were two different Egyptian gods, and he put them together, if I'm not mistaken.
DJ Bruce Almighty said, "My brother has PTSD. He says that he hasn't. He says he hasn't nightmares. He has nightmares of the kid that he shot because he was on fire. It's no joke. He used the CBD gummies. Wow, man, I can't imagine what guys have seen. Man.
Look here, I asked my grandfather about Korea one time, and I was like, "What was Korea like?" He said it was great outside all the killing.
Miss LB
I'm thinking
says,
I'm like, well, what did you do most of the time? He was like, kill. Right. Okay.
Miss LB with the super chat says, "What's the name of the gummies y'all have?" I got the Nemo Energy joints. And
I got
what's
the same ones.
got? You got those? Okay.
Mine I got those. No. And I will say this.
Orange flavor.
Those have been working great for me. Whenever I've been like feeling the lull or feeling down, I've been, and it's been working.
Ray Realm says, Coop, there's a method of religion or spirituality that predicates kesmets. Is there a method or a religion or spirituality that predates kesmets?
I mean, I would think that I think the Iliad and the Odyssey are the earliest forms of writings that are recorded, right?
Right.
There's all sorts of spiritual, supernatural, and witchcraft stuff going on. And so what I would tell you is that what you'll find in the Garden of Eden in a different form and format is in the Iliad, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? About when or is it the Epic of Gilgamesh, where the main character reaches the specter in the garden and he can't get in? Remember? Like all of this stuff has been written. And so when you're saying is it the early form, that all depends on how you classify it. What I'm saying is I'm open to the conversation and the dialogue and the debate always. I'm not into the blasphemy of it. I don't blasphemize Muhammad or Allah as a Christian at all, or Buddha or Confucius, because I truly respect the other religions outside of my sphere and specter, not even to come close to cross the border.
No, I agree with that. I think everybody's got to respect everyone's faith, and I think that was my only issue that I took with it, because I feel like those things wouldn't have been done to other faiths. Right,
that's what I'm saying.
I truly believe that. I don't think that would have been done to Buddha. I don't think that would have been done to the Jewish faith. I don't think any of those things would have been crossed.
Let's get this all the way clear. He will never step on record and talk about the Jewish faith like this.
Never.
Because guess what? If he does, he'll never talk on record again.
Well, there it is. And on that note, let's move on to the J.I.D.
Because he's not that powerful. You feel what I'm saying? You want to play some I gave you power? Speak about the Jewish community the way you just spoke about the Christian community. Watch how quick you don't hear from Hove, everybody. Watch how quick you don't hear from Hove anymore if he talk like this about the Jewish community. They be like, he's gone too far. Let's go ahead and cap this billionaire black man off right quick. Go ahead and shut his ass up while y'all playing and shit. Right. Who really got the power, Mike? Because even for his billionaire status, he don't got the power here. And you know it, and I know it, and he know it. And if he feels differently about it, do some bars about the Jewish community, and let's see how quick your career is really over. Let's see how quick your endorsements and your relationships really fall. Let's see how many white companies hand you hundreds of millions of dollars after you do that. Because most of the hundreds of $1 million and billion-dollar companies are ran by what community?
Yeah.
And it ain't the Christian one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, on that note, let's get to the JID album. They've been wanting me to make that transition. JID dropped, man, the Forever. What is it? Well, I'm sitting here looking at something else. Hold on. It just threw me off. It is it the Forever?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now.
No, I am tripping because I really love this album, and I think our whole conversation just threw everything off for me. The Forever Story. There it is. Because
story.
it's not
I'm about
really,
to say I gotta go into my Apple Music.
Yeah, it's never really written in the text of the back cover. I pulled up the back cover and it kind of just threw me off. But yes, the Forever Story. And man, I think I listened to like the first couple songs on the Khaled, And then I quickly moved to this album. I think last night I tried to listen to a little bit of the Alchemist and Rock Marciano. It was kind of slow or whatever. But when I woke up this morning, this was the first album I put on. And I know earlier, I think it was not earlier, but Wednesday, I was talking about the fact that, yeah, I wasn't totally sold on JID as far as like, you know, putting music out, but I thought he was a dope lyricist. This album is awesome. This album was fresh for me. This album, production-wise, it gave us everything that we loved about the Earth Gang album, but I felt like it had way more quotables in it. And I think that JID held his own on every record. I think he's made people step up on the record. I like Wayne's appearance. 21 Savage really had to step up on that. I don't think I've ever heard 21 rap that rapid, because 21 goes really slow with his flow, right? And JID made pretty much everybody step up. I love the record. And I think that you said you felt like it starts off slow.
It does. I mean,
I
at least
don't
in my
think
opinion.
so.
Okay,
I think
so let's move on.
you like Dance Now, and Dance Now is like number 3 on there.
Well, here's what I want to tell you. So, can I tell you what my first real note was after listening to the first 2 songs?
What's that?
The first 2 songs were uneventful for me.
But you already said you like Dance Now, though.
Hold on.
Because the first
intro was
song is
Galaxy,
the
right?
intro.
I'm not a big fan on the intro.
Well, the intro
I don't
isn't
like
anything.
the intro. Galaxy? I don't like Galaxy.
Okay.
That's not a dope intro.
Okay.
It's not. You feel what I'm saying? And I actually thought about you and how you talked about the start to the Black Thought album, and I'm like, well, what makes this better?
Well, we're going to definitely go over that on the Patreon, because when we do our show Monday, I want to play this from the first couple of songs, because I totally disagree with that stance.
Right.
Esquire with the super chat. Let me get through these super
so
chats real quick and we can get into it, because I don't want these to pile up on us again. Esquire says, before we move on to the rest of Khaled's LP, I want to give a birthday shout out to Big Crit. Super underrated catalog, mixtapes included from the SIP. Love, yeah. Big Crit is super underrated. He's put in the work. I think that his thing was a timing thing too, because I feel like if he was doing the mixtapes at this rate, at the rate he was doing over the last 5 years, he would be held even higher. Billy Bars of the Super Chat says the Quran says that Jesus is the Word of God and the Spirit of God. Healed the dead and he spoke as a baby. Basically says Jesus is God. Nothing about Jesus is acknowledged, but he's a prophet. Let me go to the last Super Chat. I think I just seen another one. Oh yeah, Clayton is asleep. Shout out to Clayton. He says, yo, what's good, Mike and Coop? Dropping in to say what's up. Hope you're both well. Y'all talk on that Drink Champs yet? And JID is carving out his niche. I only skipped around Khaled. Kiss did his job. Yes, he did. Okay, go ahead.
And I want to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I respect all the prophets.
Oh, man, we can't go back.
No.
Yeah.
I just know because he went to the super chat. No, I do. No. I just want to say that in closing. I respect all the prophets. I acknowledge all the prophets. Like, I acknowledge the prophets of other faiths because it's not fair to ask for acknowledgement out of your faith while not acknowledging others. It's not fair to skip over it and ask for acknowledgement. So it's like it has to be even across the board. So I acknowledge Muhammad as a prophet, even though my personal feelings and beliefs about him based on what I read, not a fan at all. Not even a little bit, Mike. And even less of a fan of his successor. Okay? But I'm read on these matters and I respect the gangster. All right.
Now, you said that you thought this album started off slow. Now
I did. I don't like
so
Galaxy
Radar.
as an intro. I don't like Radar as a start off to this album. I just don't. Because here's the thing about it. Everything after it is so much better.
I think Radar was one of those songs to kind of set it off and show his mic skills, right? I think Radar is very...
that, though, Mike. We already know that. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, the mic skills are there. That's part of why this buzz is there. So it's like we didn't need that. We didn't need Galaxy or Radar. That's what I'm saying.
You know, I hate to compare, right? But I know everybody's putting that Kendrick thing in the air, right? I feel like Radar was probably like DNA, Like I need to start off like
not,
this.
it's
No, but
not
you know what
that.
I mean. In this tone, I need to start off with this type of
Okay.
energy. You know what I'm saying? Structurally, because when we talk about the way this album's put together, it's very Kendrick in that light to me. More so, Good
It
Kid, Mad
is.
City.
It is very good. That's some of my notes. This plays kind of Good Kid, Mad City like, and maybe I took this personally, and I said this, and this is a part of me that was raised on the east side of Atlanta when I lived down here. Of all the sides of town that I've ever been on, the east side appeared to be the most family oriented, and I was glad that I spent my time in Atlanta mostly over there. It is the most family oriented. Zone 6 is the most family oriented zone of all the zones, in my opinion. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my opinion. But it's also the zone that I lived in the most. And so when I hear his love for his family and how it gets contextualized different ways throughout the album,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's honest and it's truthful and it's unique. Like if you're from the east side, you are probably in love with this shit because it speaks to who you are and how you feel about your family. Like, I want to get to it. And here's why I don't like the first two songs. When I got to the third song, which was the single, or I guess like Dance Now is the second song, because Galaxy's an intro. And this is exactly what I wrote. I said, that's when I realized, because we had already heard surround sound, I was like, JID's singles feel plain when you get into the album. It's not seamless. That was one of my knocks for album of the year, because it is, when you listen to this album from beginning to end, it is very obvious that Dance Now and surround sound were made to be singles. Am I wrong about that?
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
So,
I think that's very
it's not seamless the way No Gold Teeth and Aquamarine and Strangers are seamless in the play. It's like, oh, that's the single?
Well,
okay.
I disagree with that part because I do feel like Aquamarine sticks out like a sore
That's
thumb.
just different, Mike. That's the song of the year, probably. It's different. It's the song of the year right now.
It's a great song.
I think we're 3/4 of the way into the year, and it's the song of the year. And so if you're saying like, well, Aquamarine is different, well, it's different from about, every song out here except for about another 2 or 3 songs close to it, But I get what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of my early critiques.
We have similar critiques of your critiques about this album are like my critiques of the Black Thought album. Right.
Which means it is a contender because I'm having to critique. And that's one of the things that I wanted to point out. This album was strong enough that after I heard, how about this? This was a song that made me realize I needed to go back and take my notes on what I was thinking about the first 2 records. Because when I heard Crack Sandwich, Mike, I said,
that's where it really starts. I feel
this is where the album really starts. I said, this song is brilliant.
It is
beautiful and banging.
You know what?
It's brilliant, beautiful, and it's banging.
I understand where you're coming from. A Crack Sandwich should have started.
Crack Sandwich a level up from those.
It should have probably started the album off.
It should have started this album. How about this? You could have went into Galaxy, into Crack Sandwich, and kept those other 2 records.
Because if we look at this,
Galaxy would have sounded better.
You and I are baseball fans. We look at this like a baseball lineup. He has Crack Sandwich out here batting cleanup.
Right.
And it
Crack
might should have.
Yeah,
it might should have been the leadoff.
Crack Sandwich is the leadoff single.
Yeah.
That's your Ricky Henderson.
Yeah. That should have been the leadoff on the lineup.
That's your Deion Sanders. That's your Otis Nixon. Your Marquise Grissom for the ATL. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That. So I want
what
you to
did you
kind
think
of
about?
Right quick, I know I've been talking for a minute about the album. I want you to kind of like wax your shit because you. How about this? If I was probably rating this right now, I would probably have it 4, 5, 6, or 7. I think you have it 1, 2, or 3, and so that's where our difference is. So the difference isn't far, but I'm gonna give you my critiques. And the first critiques that I have is that the singles feel plain, and that intro and that first song are not indicative of what's about to go down. Because when I hear Crack Sandwich, I'm like, so you could have kept that first song.
Well, this is me vouching for it to possibly be album of the year, right? I think that the versatility. I think that the storytelling, like the versatility, let me expound upon that. Versatility on the production end, on the creative end, on a lyrical end. Even if we talk about the features, I like Yassine Bey's feature on there as well. The way this album was put together from beginning to end, the stories he's telling. I think he has so many dope, possibly great verses on here. You get lost in it. You know what? My first takeaway from this album was the fact that, yo, this is a lot to take in a matter of hours before we got to do a show about it. I really want to sit on this album too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that dense, and it has a lot going on in it, and I could tell that it's great from the first listen. I feel like these songs are gonna have legs. I feel like it has replay value. Cody Blue 31, great record. And that's him singing on there too, right?
Okay, so hold on.
I mean,
hold on.
The versatility is out of here. If the Source magazine was still around, and you know, I got some things planned as far as us as a magazine and all those things. This would have some quotables in it. This would have some
when you're saying
quotables in it.
When I think of quotables, and maybe this is the part where the Source has my mind like on lock. It's like, well, I think AZ Life's a bitch. I think Nas Verbal Intercourse. I think Method Man Shadowboxing. I think Redman How High.
Well, this is a different
feel what
time.
I'm saying? And how high is the bar? Well, the bar is high, and I don't hear that bar on this album. But how about this? He's not sci-high lyrically, is what I felt on this album.
Not a lot of people are.
No, I'm not asking him to be. I'm just giving you some East Side comparisons. So
but
he's
I
not the best lyricist on the East Side. But what was I telling you? Is like I never felt that way before. But is he a better song maker than Sci-Hi?
I was just about to say that.
So, Mike, and
not
this
I
is the
think
evidence.
so.
This is evidence.
No,
this
not
is
I
evidence.
think so. He is.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. Undoubtedly.
So, hold on. So let's have this conversation right quick, because it's very rare that we get a artist coming out of Atlanta. Quite frankly, this is a solo artist that makes an album of this caliber.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, it is. I'm sitting here thinking, yeah.
Yes. It's very rare.
We got to go back to T.I.
out of Atlanta that makes an album of this caliber.
Yeah, we got to go to T.I.
This East Side, Zone 6, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out to y'all. You know?
My side in the house. Feels good to talk about the Easy. We up in here. Feels good to talk about the Easy. Yeah.
West Side, we've been running shit for a minute, you know, but it's all Atlanta.
Nobody cares, Mike. Nobody cares. Let's not have zone wars. Let's not have zone wars on the show that niggas don't understand.
I want to see Atlanta win regardless.
Right.
You know, East Side, West Side.
Don't start the zone 4, zone 6 shit, Mike.
We're not New York in that aspect, you know?
Right. We're not going to do Brooklyn QB.
We work together.
Like Brooklyn Queens, right. Because zone 4 has been running shit, Mike.
Yeah.
Zone 4 been running shit.
Gucci, Mike. 21, you know what I'm saying? Earth Gang's from the East Side.
Gucci's West Side, Mike. Gucci's East Side, Mike. That's Gresham.
No, that's what I'm saying. East Side's been running shit for a minute. Y'all been doing your thing.
No, I don't know about that, Mike. T.I. is West Side.
I know, you know.
Baby's West Side.
Yeah.
Savage is West Side.
Yeah.
That's who been running shit.
I thought Savage was East Side.
Savage East Side?
Yeah, I thought Savage was East Side.
I don't know about that, Mike.
We'll have to check that out. Mad Max with the super chat says Cody Blue 31 was my joint. Not a skip from track 1 to the end. I never was into him like that, but this album is top 3 for me. I feel the same exact way. I really wasn't into JID like that. You know, I ran into JID at the airport a couple of years ago, and I recognized him in ways where, you know, a lot of other people didn't. I just told him, like, yo, I like what you're doing.
I remember.
You know what I'm saying? I like what you're doing. You got some dope shit going on. He said, appreciate it. But this right here, to me, this is a top 3 album of the year. Mad Max says Dub Aurora was this one on me, JID Forever Story, and Benny Tana Talks 4, my top 3. Go ahead. And Mad Max again says, I didn't hear K. Structure from this. I heard Dungeon Family and Outkast. I heard Outkast Structure in this. I
heard Outkast and I heard Dungeon Family. So
this sounds like a Southern rap album, just with East Coast style lyrics.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so here was my thoughts on Cody Blue, because I was like, well, this is the first time he slowed it down.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm about to say. The chorus and the switch up is actually where he takes flight, because, and this is what I mean, it's an album of the year contender, and when I hear an album that's an album of the year contender, I'm going to go super critical as to start parsing it through. We may have an issue, and it's the Big Sean issue, which is the voice is not as strong as the other aspects of his game as an MC. And it is a factor, because part of why Cody Blue 31 works is because he's not on the chorus and because the melody is slowed down and he
That's
has to
him
rap
singing,
different.
isn't it? I thought that was him singing.
Is that him singing?
I think that's him singing. That's what's
If that's
impressive.
him singing, Mike, if that's him singing, I'm going to move him up from number 6 to number 5 on my album of the year.
No, I think that's him singing. That's impressive.
That's
very
dope.
soulful too. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like
it's dope. No,
yeah.
No. I told you I took a note on Cody Blue 31 because I was like, this is actually. How about this? He's really dope and he's really insightful and he's great up to this point. But that's the point that this album does become an album of the year contender in my mind. So I like that you brought it up.
Yeah.
You mind if I just kind of like toggle back through my notes right quick? Because I took my notes. I grouped the familial notes together. So I put Crack Sandwich is beautiful, banging, and brilliant. I said, but so is Brother in them.
Mm.
And this is what I put right in there. I said, J.I.D. loves his family. I said, that's some East Side shit.
Yeah.
It is.
He contextualized it very well, too, you know?
No, and he did it without it being preachy or trying too hard or seeming country about it. Like country-ass country, like cousins kissing cousins country. And this is what I said. He's letting you all the way in.
Yeah.
Sister in them.
Yep.
That ending is the best ending to a rap song this year. And it's beautiful and it's painful. And Mike, I'm living some of it myself with my sisters. You feel me? Yeah, and I'm just going to let people into my life right quick because this is what I mean about how he gets you and what makes it an album of the year contender. I didn't know that a guy with a voice like this could tug on your emotions with his subject matter. Usually the guys like Pac, X, Beans, they have certain type of voices that help them tug on your emotions. Face. I didn't say Face. It's at the top of the list. Face, Pac, Beans, X. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like what they say. Hold on. Prodigy 2. Fuck with your emotions. You feel me?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a voice that does that. When I got done listening to Sister in Them, I thought about my sister Alicia, who never calls me on my birthday. I texted my sister Tracy. These are my two older sisters. I texted my sister Tracy, who literally called me 2 days ago, and I've been so busy that I didn't call her back, which I always do, because that's my motherfucker. You feel me? I literally texted her back, and it was like, I'm so sorry for not getting back to you. It was like, I love you. We're going to talk this weekend. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I thought about the strained relationship with my sister, who called the police on me when we were starting our Wednesday show and got me locked up in jail for assault. You feel me? Even though she isn't. I thought about all those things when that record came on. And that's when I was like, no, this dude's great. Because you can't get me in that zone. Like, you can't get me thinking about elite. You can't get me thinking, and my youngest sister, you can't get me thinking about all four of my sisters at the same time. And he did. Like, in the different relationships or lack thereof sometimes that I have with them and the problems that come with them. And then when he tried the shit at the end with the phone and the numbers different, I was like, that's why I texted Tracy, because it's like, I don't even know if Alicia and Michaela's number are the same. I just got Tracy and Audrey number. You feel me?
Yeah. Well put together, man. And
shit real. No, the shit real, and it's touching something. That's part of what you want out of your classic shit. It's Raekwon on Rainy Days. It's Nas and AZ on Life's a Bitch. It's Big Boy and out. It's Andre on the Art of Storytelling Part 1. The Susie Screw had a partner named Sasha Thump. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, I don't know her, but I know that girl. And it touched, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's those moments. And it's like, no, that was the moment. So it's like Crack Sandwich, Brother in Them, is family songs. But Sister in Them is actually the family song where it's like he gets real. He starts talking about the psychological, emotional aspects of things and what he's going through in the relationship. And he's the youngest of 7.
Wow.
And he's a Division I talent. He played cornerback at Hampton before he got kicked off the team.
Mm-hmm. Yo,
he was good.
It's interesting that you mentioned the voice thing, because I said something about that Wednesday. Listening to this album, I feel like his voice wasn't as high, right? I think at certain points, Crack Sandwich is probably one of the ones that I pointed out. I noted on my notes is the fact that I'm like, okay, well, I feel like he leveled out his voice, and his voice sounds a little bit more, it's not as high. Now, again, it's not the strength of the voices that you're talking about, but it's like a regular rap voice. Because one of the things that I got from JID early was like, he can rhyme, but his voice is extremely high, right? I didn't see that on a lot of this, and I think that he kind of balanced it out, and it sounds really good with the production, well put together. Mad Max says, I'll return to this before Black Thought and Rock Marciano and them guys. I agree. I think that the replay value on this album is very high for me.
So you want to know what it is? It's more entertaining and more relatable than those two albums, and I will agree with you on that. The entertainment value, just off Crack Sound's brother in them and sister in them, the entertainment value of how he's weaving these stories is super high.
Ron Vay in the building. Shout out to Ron Vay with the super chat.
But can I tell you something, Mike?
What's up?
Hold on.
I was just going to get the Ron Vay super chat real quick. He said, if we're comparing Forever Story to Good Kid, Mad City, Poetic Justice sounds like an obvious fourth single too. But JID is rapping at a higher level at this point in his career than Kendrick was at Good Kid, Mad City.
No, he's not.
You don't think so? I see what Ron Vay's saying.
No, I'm going to respect Ron right quick. There's no backseat freestyle on here. There's no reel on here. Like if you want to talk about contextualizing a story about the hood and about where you come from, it doesn't get much better than real. Like in the history of rap. So I get what he's saying. JID is not Kendrick lyrically on Good Kid, Mad City.
I can't wait till Monday.
Shireen's daughter. No, hold on. Shireen's daughter is better than all of these stories.
Master Splinter's daughter. Monday.
Huh?
I can't wait till Monday.
Bro, I can't wait till Monday too.
We're going to play the music.
Hold on. I never thought. You understand this is a show where I've officially started defending Jay-Z's verse and now Kendrick's bar work. Where are we? This is Twilight Zone type shit. Where's the Crypt Keeper? This Tales from the Crypt.
LP
defending Good Kid, Mad City. This is not Good Kid, Mad City.
LP says Mike
There's no bitch don't kill my vibe on here. There is no bitch don't kill my vibe on here.
LP says Mike meets JID and shows love. Coop tries him. LOL.
No, that's my East Side homie. He was shouting out shit that I came up on. So when he's shouting out the Walmart on Gresham, which is Mike, you want to talk about problematic? The Walmart on Gresham is very problematic, Mike. I know. Talking about Memorial Drive, Mike. Mike, I told you, I used to run into the niggas from Whoop, there it is, up at the Blimpie on Memorial Drive back in 91, 92. They weren't rapping when I ran into them when I was a kid. They weren't rapping, you know what I'm saying?
I see Ryder, people are saying that Ryder is better than Backseat Freestyle.
I don't believe that at all.
You don't believe that? Yeah, we're gonna get to the tracks and just play them side by side. We got.
Hold on. Do you understand that if y'all think that this album is better than Good Kid, Mad City, then y'all are saying it's probably one of the 30 to 40 greatest rap albums?
No. I don't think anybody said it's better than Good Kid, Mad City. I think what Ron Vay said was lyrically he's better than Kendrick was at that point in Kendrick's career.
And I don't believe that.
You don't think so? He sounds very polished on this record.
Mike, where's the rhyme of the year stuff? Like the best stuff is actually the story. The best stuff is the story stuff, which I'm okay with because I'm a big Rick the Ruler and Nas and Scarface fan. So I'm cool with the stories.
What about Money?
Don't tell me that this guy is lyrically better than Kendrick, though. It's like now we're doing too much. He's not like.
What about Money?
I'm about to pull up the track list in Good Kid, Mad City, Mike.
No need to do that. That's gonna listen. No one's saying that he's better than Kendrick.
I didn't even know that people thought enough of this album that we were having a Kendrick Lamar Good Kid, Mad City conversation. I told you that's the West Coast Illmatic.
Listen,
it's like you're telling me this is. Are you telling me that this is the Southern Illmatic? Because that's what Good Kid, Mad City is.
This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you. I think that it is very Good Kid, Mad City influence when it comes to the structure of it all, right?
But it's not Good Kid, Mad City, though.
This is his coming out party. I think Good Kid, Mad City has bigger records. But I think that this album is put together in a similar fashion without a Money Trees, because it doesn't have a Money Trees, no. Right?
Mike, it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that Good Kid, Mad City has.
But I do think bar for bar. Good Kid,
Mad City are a 5, Mike.
I think bar for bar.
Master Splinter's daughter is a 5. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe is a 5. Backseat Freestyle is a 5. Real is a 5. Compton is a 5. Sing of Me, I'm Dying of Thirst is a 5. Like, these are perfect songs. They're not perfect songs on this album.
Okay. You know, this
They're
is
not.
what I will
We're the
say.
perfect. Mike, no. We're pulling up Good Kid, Mad City because now this, for all the shit that I talked
This
about Kendrick,
hasn't-
we're
this-
not about to compare this album to Good Kid, Mad City.
I'm
That's
just
more
comparing the
disrespectful.
structure. I'm comparing the
No,
structure. to it.
even doing that is more disrespectful than anything I've said about Kendrick. This is not Good Kid, Mad City territory. That's one of the greatest rap albums that ever got made. This album does not deserve to be mentioned with that album, and I'm not about to do it. And if you want to do it, I'm just going to start annihilating this album, which I don't want to do either, because he's from my zone.
I want to save that conversation for Monday, but this is what I will say. I think that he's put himself in the lyricist of the year conversation.
No.
You don't think so?
So who is he ahead of that we have up there? Black Thought? No.
You don't think so?
Lupe? No. Ransom? No.
I think he is ahead of.
You didn't even put Method Man up, Mike. Method Man didn't even make our top 5. Like, stop that. No, he's not. Like, where are y'all getting this from? Like, what are y'all? Do I need to listen to this album again? Maybe I do. Maybe I need to listen.
I think you need to listen to this album again.
No, maybe I do. I mean, I've listened twice, but I'll listen again.
I think his performance, and I know you're a big Black Thought guy, and I think Black Thought's one of the greatest lyricists ever. I think his performance on this album is better than Black Thought's performance on his album.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to submit to you. Show me one verse that's better than either of the verses on Aquamarine or Gold Teeth.
Again.
Show me one. No. Listen to what I'm saying. Show me one verse that's better than any of the verses on those 2 songs.
And we can do that Monday. We can do that Monday.
No, Mike, this is what I'm saying. This is like one of those things that you know it when you hear it. When I heard Life's a Bitch, I knew that lyrically, that was one of the best things that I had ever heard. The same way when I heard No Gold Teeth, I was like, that's a classic. When I heard Aquamarine, I was like, that's a classic. Show me where he's like that on here. Pick the song right now. Because you and I pulled up, as soon as Black Thought albums dropped, it was like, No Gold Teeth, Aquamarine. Those are solo records by him where we're like, no, that ain't even no question.
Aquamarine
Where's the
is
JID record like that, Mike?
Aquamarine is incredible.
No, Mike, that's not what I asked you. I asked you to give me the JID record comparable to No Gold Teeth and Aquamarine lyrically if you feel like the performance is better and if people feel that way. Because that's not he's not up for lyricist of the year. Like, this is a Black Thought.
You don't think Crack Sandwich, Money, Stars, Sister in them, Brother in them, Cody Blue 31. You don't think these are lyricists of the year performances?
No.
Well, I guess people.
No Gold Teeth or Aquamarine, Mike. It's not the same level.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
That's like, that get off my lawn thing too.
No, it's not. No. This is what I'm saying. That might be the greatest lyricist that ever lived, spitting.
Oh, Coop went out. Coop, you there? Let's see. Coop went out for a second. You there? Okay, cool. You back.
No, this is what I'm saying.
Black Thought cut me out.
Hold on. You're literally comparing somebody who might literally be the best lyricist ever and having his finest lyrical moments as a solo artist versus a guy that we don't even think lyrically is better than Sahai the Prince. All I'm asking you to do is give me the evidence on the record, because No Gold Teeth and Aquamarine is evidence. And if you cannot provide me with evidence,
we'll play the records. I think that's the best way to do it.
Mike, it's all bad for you. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I play Aquamarine, I'm having trouble deciding what the verse of the year is. And when I mean that, I mean it's a conversation between verse 1 and verse 2, not anybody else's bars this year. That's how great Aquamarine is. JID is nowhere on that level lyrically on this album. Storytelling wise, he is there. Lyrically, he is not in Black Thought's realm. Mike, lyrically, he is probably never going to be in Black Thought's realm because he's not even in Sci-Hi's realm yet. That's what I'm saying. So when you're saying that, it's like, no, you got to give me the evidence of where, like, this is what, okay, so a lot of people are like, Coop, you think too much of Conway. You have him rated too high. Well, he spikes in a way that's ungodly sometimes, as in, like, he can have a better verse than Method Man on Lemon, Jesus Crisis. Where's the moment like that on here lyrically? This album doesn't have that, but it has a lot of dope stuff. And I got some more notes I want to get to about the dope stuff.
Go ahead.
I said, you and me, I took this note specifically for you and me. I said, we asked to get more out of this guy. I said, and he actually gave it to us. I said, how many times do you ask more out of an artist and they actually go and give you more? It's almost like he knows his audience and is paying attention. High marks for that. Here's where I'm going to take some marks away from him. On Can't Punk Me. This is another thing of why styles make fights. Well, he sounds great on Can't Punk Me. Earth Gang sounds better, even though he is more lyrically inclined than them. Yeah, I feel like they stole the show from him on Can't Punk Me.
I was going to ask you about Can't Punk Me.
I feel like they stole the show from him. When I heard Can't Punk Me, I was like, this is why I have the Earth Gang album, literally, after listening to the JID, one slot ahead of the JID album for album of the in terms of album of the year contention.
I think this is a voice thing. You know what I'm saying? Because
that's why I brought up the voice thing.
Because I think JID's verse is actually the better verse. I really wasn't feeling the last verse like that. The second verse, yeah. But
can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
So the voice comment came from hearing Can't Punk Me and Cody Blue 31. Because when I heard Earth Gang and then I heard the switch up on the chorus, and I'm like, what are those records like without Earth Gang? What is that record like without that chorus? Because of his voice, he needed them on those two records for those records to reach their status. I don't know if I love that.
Nobody's on Cody Blue.
The record's there. Both of the records are banging, though.
Hold on. Nobody's on Cody Blue. Yeah, nobody's on that.
Who's singing that chorus? Is that him singing the chorus?
It's him.
Is it really him?
Yeah, it's him.
I'm going to give him high marks for that, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah.
That's super high marks. How about this? I'll tell you what. If I feel like Earth Gang is outshining him style-wise on Can't Punk Me, that second verse is the best verse on there. Like, lyrically, he's better, but the second verse, he just freaked him. He pulled the Andre on him. I was like, he just got Andre. I was like, he just got outstyled on his record.
Nas the GOAT with the super chat says, Cole still has verse of the year. Stop it. Jay Short says, Mike, the last few weeks.
Are verses of the year. They're better than all Cole shits. Yeah.
Jay Short says, Mike, the last few weeks, it sounds like you think cheat codes is really a 3.75, and you're being PC. Let it off your chest. You'll feel better.
You don't like cheat codes. I feel that way too. I feel like you don't like cheat codes.
I don't like.
I feel like you
and
feel
I
like the best record already got dropped.
I picked cheat codes to be album of the year. It does. I'm gonna be honest. I'll get it off my chest, man. It does nothing for me. It's technically great.
It does nothing for you?
Aquamarine
Mike, I have
does.
to hear No Gold Teeth and Aquamarine every day. How can you say that?
I like listen, some of the records do. I'm just talking about as a whole. Okay. And I think Aquamarine is great. Incredible record. No Gold Teeth. I love it. Again, those are the two records that make me feel like, yo, this might be album of the year. Love the record with Raekwon. I actually love the record with Joey and Russ more than I think you do.
Because?
Yeah, because.
Strangers is the shit, Mike. I like the Strangers record more than the Because.
I like Strangers too. But the rest
Mike, these are bangers. Half the album is classic shit on there. It's like, it's 12 tracks. 6 of the songs are classic, Mike.
I think classic is strong. They're very good songs.
I don't, Mike. Strangers, that shit that ASAP is spitting after Thought, and then the way Mike closes it up, Because with Joey, No Gold Teeth, Darkest Part with Raekwon, Aquamarine. No, Mike, I just gave you classic shit.
I know it sounds crazy. Shit. I know it sounds crazy and maybe unfair, but I expected more, I guess.
What do you want?
And I think, and it's not even Black Thought. I think it's more Danger Mouse. I think it's more Danger Mouse than Black Thought. Black Thought did his thing, like you said, and like we said on our Patreon episode.
We talked about this on the Patreon show, right?
He rapped up to the level of the beats, and I think where Danger Mouse fell short, he was a little less entertaining. And I think that the entertainment value of this album isn't where I thought it would be. Maybe that's unreasonable though. Maybe it maxed out on that too.
So let's call this performance what it is. And I said this on the Patreon show, and I said this to you. I said, Mike, I said, when the beat is a 10, I said, Thought is on 10.
I think they didn't do anything outside of comfort zones. And maybe, again, that might be unfair where I feel like
Aquamarine is outside of Black Thought's comfort zone.
That is the highest moment, yes.
So the highest moment is outside of his comfort zone, and that's what I mean about how they need to push the boundary more. See, no gold teeth is in his pocket.
I think
Aquamarine is outside of his pocket. And so when those are the two best records on the album, that lets me know that you can do anything.
I think everything else, though.
Half of the records are classic to me, Mike.
I think like everything else on the record is in his pocket outside of Aquamarine. Like, I felt like Danger Mouse could have stretched a little more, maybe.
Oh, you want to know what else too, Mike? I want you to go listen to Identical Deaths again right after Aquamarine. That's a great story.
Okay.
He's actually telling a story.
Well, you know what? Maybe I'm off, Jay Short. Maybe I need to listen to the album more. But initial listen didn't grab me as much as it grabbed Coop. Mad Max with the super chat says, Coop, there's no Mike. I love Black Thought. He's not the best lyricist ever to me. Daylight, Papoose, King Los are better lyricists. And JID on Sci-High's level.
No, they're not. They don't connect.
Those dudes
they don't connect. They don't connect. You have to connect. This is what I keep trying to tell people. Muhammad Ali is not the greatest boxer of all time without the jab. Because guess what? That's the number one punch that he had that did what? Connected. You want to know why those guys are tired? You want to know why he's able to knock them out in the later rounds? Because for about 7 or 8 rounds, this 6'2", 225-pound guy is giving him this, and it's fast and it's quick and it pops.
I'm seeing people saying
you gotta
that.
Connect. You can't just go swinging and knocking a motherfucker out. You need to throw some jabs.
I'm seeing people saying that they think that Cheat Code is submit as well. So maybe Cheat Code's not connecting.
I heard people saying the JID was submit as well. Y'all need to make up your mind.
Maybe it's not connecting. I feel like the JID has a lot more depth in the fact that I might need some more listens. I could be off on it or I could be spot on. But our first listen, it felt like, I'm going to be revisiting this album.
The JID is more entertaining and requires more of you. So here's what I would tell you. The singles are so what I just brought up, his voice, and the singles are actually the biggest issue. Well, your singles can't sound like they're contrived if the album's not classic. So when you're bringing up Poetic Justice from Good Kid, Mad City, that's fine. But you understand almost every other song on there is classic, right? You understand that's the weakest song on there, right?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't go back to Good Kid, Mad City like that. You know, I feel
very problematic.
You know how I feel. To Pimp a Butterfly, I hold higher. You know, I just do. I always have.
Cool. I mean, Mike, I've already won that argument because after he just dropped To Pimp a Butterfly Part 3.5 that nobody wanted to hear, it's like everybody back on Good Kid, Mad City. So I'll take that.
I think a lot of people are back on To Pimp a Butterfly. They did
I told you, it made the replay value of To Pimp a Butterfly so much higher. It's like, oh, this is what it sounds like when he's concise and on point and not like drifting for 5 years. Right.
So hold on. Let me get this right. Because I know you're talking about Mr. Morale or whatever. And I went back and listened to Mr. Morale. It's not a bad album. I think it's not the album you put out. It's not the album you put out after a 5-year hiatus. But I go back to that album more than I do Cheat Code. I do. I'm just being honest.
It's not a bad album. It's just not a good album.
I go back to that album more than I do Cheat Code. And I know somebody in the chat
Mike,
said something.
I feel sorry for you that you're...
Hold on, let me finish. I know you're a super Black Thought fan. I know you're a super Black Thought fan. I'm just being honest. It's about connections.
If somebody's forcing me, Mike, and you say these same things to listen to the Kendrick album, blink twice.
You say these twice.
Blink twice, Mike. We can save you. You don't have to listen to the Kendrick album. You don't have to. Blink twice if somebody's putting you hostage.
You say the same things to Lupe fans. You do. And the way that you talk about Lupe fans, I feel the same way about this Black Thought Cheat Codes. And I picked it as a possible album of the year. Now, I look at these individual songs.
Let me finish. This was your album of the year pick.
It was.
Cheat Codes was your album of the year
pick.
I picked 83. You picked Cheat Codes.
I did. And I'm the one that's speaking like this about Cheat Codes. I look at it.
Very problematic that you are.
I listen to these songs and I'm like, yeah, well, technically did everything right. But something just doesn't connect with me. I don't know what it is. Mad Max in the super chat says, take the roots from Black Thought, and he never connected either. So let's stop Papoose is better line for line, King Los 2, and Daylight.
Okay. Name the classic Papoose and King Los songs. I'll wait, because Black Thought has classic shit with the roots. It can't be touched. That's like having the same conversation about Q-Tip or Remember a Daylight. You feel what I'm saying? Or certain members of Wu-Tang Clan. That's not fair. Like, go ahead and take. Oh, go
Well,
ahead
I
and shit
think
on Inspector
vibrant
Deck.
thing is important.
What about an Inspector Deck? How about that? Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. Let me tell you. Let me get to the rest of these JID notes. Can't Make You Change with Ari Lennox.
Dope,
And
bro.
this is what I mean about. I'm gonna take these singles into account because here's my problem when I listen to it. He had singles on here that he didn't have to force these singles. Can't Make You Change is the real organic single. But you can't do that anymore. And on top of that, Mike, if you want to talk about his Rhyme of the Year stuff, Can't Make You Change is where the literary devices are on 12, 15, 20, especially the ending, the last verse on Can't Make You Change.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, stars with Yazine Bey. First of all, I thought about something. We need to start calling him Yazine Bey and respecting his beliefs.
Oh, definitely. No.
Ideology.
And I know sometimes we slip up because,
I call him Most so
he
much.
made a lot of his groundbreaking stuff as Most Def. But yes, you're right.
No.
We need to respect the name and respect the beliefs and call him Yazine Bey.
When Muhammad Ali became Muhammad Ali and got called, well, before he was Cassius Clay, but he asked to be respected. He called him Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
When Lou Alcindor changed his name, became a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You feel what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. No, I agree with you 100%.
And so the first thing that I thought about when I saw his name on the record is like, I never call him Yasin. I always call him Most because he's Most to me. I need to call him Yasin because that's what I mean about respecting the religion.
Right.
You
and
feel
like,
me?
I don't even like when Shaq goes out
faith.
there. I don't even like when Shaq goes out there and calls Abdul Rauf Chris Smith or whatever he called. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, Chris Smith.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, don't do that.
Smith.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not cool. So yeah,
Chris Jackson.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, don't do that. Especially the fact that you know him personally. Like, that's not cool. So yes, Yasin Bey.
So here's the next thing that I want to point out to you. Why doesn't Yasin sound like this on No Fear of Time?
Exactly.
Because this is the problem. And so let's pause right here. No Fear of Time cannot get Album of the Year because this verse exists outside of No Fear of Time. You can't put this kind of bar work in outside. Like, Mike, this might be the best verse on the album.
One of them. He sounds invigorated. He sounds energetic, but again, I'm putting a lot of that on the performance level that J.I.D. has on this album.
That's not fair. No.
No, you don't think that Most heard these songs?
Talib.
I'm not talking about Talib.
No, that's not fair to Talib, Mike. Talib lyrically on No Fear of Time is as precise as he's ever been with Most right next to him.
I understand that.
So if Most is not invigorated, you want to know what that is? That's when you've been in a marriage for 25 years and your partner don't excite you no more. Even though your partner done got their game together and actually looks better than they did when you got with them. Think about Talib on No Fear of Time is better as an MC lyrically, delivery, timing, and vocally than he is on their first album. But Yasin's not respecting it. Talib delivered. Most of the drawback about No Fear of Time is about Most sounding lazy, unfocused, and uninterested, and the beats not being what people want. Mike, if he sounds like this on No Fear of Time is running away with the Album of the Year, even though nobody heard it. And so I can't give it a pass. And so what this song made me do was take No Fear of Time down a notch further. And we're going to talk about another reason why I did it too, if we get time to talk about this Drink Champs episode that I just seen that they obviously edited because these niggas are dropping way too much knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get
dropping too much knowledge. It's like you're not allowed to spit these bars.
I don't think we're going to get to the
2-hour episode into 45 minutes. You're not allowed to talk these bars.
I don't think we're going to get to the Drink Champs episode, but one thing I will say about
Patreon, Mike, we got to get to the Drink Champs episode. We might need to play some clips. We need to play that.
Definitely.
No, they said some real shit on there. They did. No,
I think Yasin.
I don't always agree with them, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
But that episode that they just did was the most informative Drink Champs that I'd ever seen, and that was actually the best interview that I seen Noriega do. He was an interviewer, and he was actually hitting the mark. And maybe that was the editing of it too, because you get it so unfiltered. But no, that was a beautiful moment.
Yeah. So I did love Yasin Bey's performance on here, but I think that a lot of that, to me, I attribute that to the young energy and innovation that most was hearing in what he gathered in the studio. A lot of MCs from that branch of hip hop, I would say, are more driven to inspiration, energy. We saw what he was then Mos Def, what his energy was like when Kanye came in the room at College Dropout before he even had an album out. He gravitates to that young or new energy, shall I say. And I think that that's what we hear on this JID album. You got Yasin Bey listening to this young cat that's spitting the way he's spitting. He probably played him some of his records like Sister in them or whatever. And he's like, you know what? I'm feeling this.
And you want to know what that might be?
And I love your analogy about 25 years. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's on point.
No, that's what I mean. It's like, yo, you're like, I mean, you know this before, Mike. I've been married. It's like sometimes your partner gets in shape at certain points in the relationship is looking real, real good. You feel me? But in your mind and in your eyes, you saw the person that you met. So you never saw them get out of shape, get back in shape, get better, get tighter, change their whole shit. It's like, no, you seeing the motherfucker that you met in your eyes and your mind and your heart and your soul. It's hard to see the switch up.
Yeah.
And so I think Yasin actually just missed a really brilliant moment with his partner, because this is the first time I've heard his partner rhyme where it's like, no, you need to be rhyming right next to him, as in Yasin is one of the best MCs of all time. And his partner on this album actually sounds like he can rap with one of the best MCs. Talib on No Fear of Time is Big Boy on Aquemini. That's the best way to contextualize it. It's like, no, he was dope. He was great. No, he's all-time great. And what happens on Aquemini, because Dre is all-time great as he always is too. Well, it's an all-time great album. Do you feel what I'm saying? So if Yasin is all-time great, the way that he is capable of doing at the drop of a dime, Mike, did you hear the Drink Champs? I've been good at this since I was 9. No. This is a gift from Allah. He didn't say it was a gift from God, Mike, by the way. He said it was a gift from Allah.
He's like,
I've been good at this since I was 9. I've never been bad at this. Notice he said, I wasn't always great. I wasn't always legendary. He said, I was never bad.
He said,
that's what I mean about the humility. Notice how he said, I was never bad at this.
No, the humility in
Allah
itself.
blessed me with this. And he said, Allah blessed me with this, not God.
That's the humility. That he said Allah gave him a gift and he is entitled to use it.
He didn't say God did. He didn't say on God.
No, he
didn't. He said Allah.
He said Allah. And he said, I am entitled to use that gift.
Yes.
And you know what?
I've always said this. I felt him when he said it.
Me too. Because I've always said on this show and even offline or whatever, Mos Def is the most naturally gifted rapper I have ever heard. And when he sits there and says that he was dope at 9, I believe that shit.
No.
I believe it.
No, you and I have had this conversation and we share this sentiment. As far as the effortless nature that comes with the craft of MCing, nobody above him, and that is God given in my realm, Allah given in his, or however you want to juxtapose or contextualize it, did not come from him. It came from...
It's a gift coming from on high.
Yeah.
You know?
Way up high. Way up high. His gifts are from way up high. And you want to know what? He can tell that his gifts are from way up high. And I looked at him. When he said that is why I was like, I need to start calling him Yasin.
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, no, I felt that. Because I've always felt...
No, I felt that in my bones, Mike. He gave me goosebumps.
Because I've always felt that when I've heard him. Like, this is a gifted person. You feel that when you
hear him. Yeah. So can we just talk about it briefly? When Noriega's talking about, I fall out of love with hip-hop and I play this. When he said it, I was like, I know what he's doing.
And we all thought the same thing.
When I fall out of love, guess what I play too? I play... Mike, his performance on What's Beef on Dave Chappelle's show and the Know the Ledge in the car ride is 2 of the greatest moments in hip-hop history. Literally. His verse on What's Beef is one of the greatest verses ever. The What's Beef verse is one of the greatest verses ever. But the car ride, Mike, that's one of the best hip-hop moments ever. I'm going to let people inside of our minds, our first idea for anything, according to hip-hop related, that did not have to do with this podcast was to try to re-emulate Dave Chappelle in Mos Def's car ride. And our goal was to get Griselda to do the ride along. It's like, we want y'all niggas in the car riding with us in Atlanta doing the cypher. because most set that shit off in a way that you're never going to forget. You and I have talked about this literally for 2 decades now, that performance.
I was a Yasin Bey fan the moment I heard him, right? And I was just listening to High and Mighty B-Boy document the other day. When I saw, to the point where that Dave Chappelle episode came into play, and I saw that live when, Comedy Central showed it for the first time, I'm like, that's Most. It's effortless. Like he literally could just
it's the way he was spitting, Mike. It was nothing to him when he was spitting. He wasn't trying. He wasn't breathing heavy. He wasn't suffering. He wasn't stuttering.
It's like
he was just
talking.
like, no, I got this shit.
Yeah,
dog.
his flow is just natural. Like he's talking to you. Like it's just so effortless. Like and again, I don't want to bring this Jay verse back into play, and because he does a lot of effortless stuff too, and I joke all the time whenever Nas when Nas and Jay are on a record together, you can hear Jay-Z trying. You can hear Jay-Z trying on BBC. You can hear him trying on Black Republican, and it's it is great results normally. But on this record that came out, I guess today, he was trying very hard. I've never heard Mos Def ever have to do that. Even like on Oh No, Pharoah Monch gives like one of his greatest performances ever. Mos Def is chilling. Even on the cypher that everybody talk about with Eminem and Black Thought, where they're spitting their brains out, Mos is chilling.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because it's so natural to him, and he doesn't have to try hard.
I get what you're saying, and there's something that's really cool about that. But there's also, I'm a competitor, Mike, and so I like it when a guy goes for his. What I do always love about Jay is the competitive nature which he approaches things, because his competitive nature is so maniacal, just like Kobe, just like Mike, like Tom. He goes too far sometimes. That's how maniacal the nature is.
Yeah.
Like the Watcher 2 verse, you notice I was putting up the 2 when you were saying it, because we both knew what was going on. That Watcher 2 verse, it's like, that is maniacal, and you are trying too hard.
Very much so.
Also, too, if I'm going to respect the game and respect the hustle, because you can't knock the hustle.
Never.
That's part of what makes him who he is. Now, understand this. No 26 or 27-year-old MC ever stepped into the game with the opportunity to be the best MC in the game until he did. Him and DMX did it in parting years, about 2 years apart. That happened for those guys. It's never going to happen again. This is a we get you between 17 to 25 type of game. You feel me? So the fact that he crept to 26, 27, that's where that competitive nature comes from. Because I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite bars from him is on This Can't Be Life, when he was like thinking, damn, it's around the time that Big and Mac dropped. And Illmatic Rock had a heavy rad drop. In the West had it locked. Everybody doing them. I'm still standing on the block like, damn. I'm gonna be a failure, surrounded by drugs, thugs, and drug paraphernalia. I'm like, that's the hustle and the mind and the hunger and the competitive nature that removed him from them circumstances. Never gonna take that away from him, because he got here off of that more than anything else, even though he had skills. You feel me?
Yeah, it's your upbringing, right? And I think also, though, when we look at Yasin, he doesn't sound like he's trying on 2 words. And that's why, like, when we were talking about the best performance on the College Dropout, and I start quoting, Jay's verse from Never Let Me Down, I'm like, it's a great verse. But the way Mos delivered on his great verse as well, it was so effortless in a way where, even on that album, Jay is giving effort. And
he delivered on the concept better, too.
He does.
Delivered on the concept better.
Nobody outside of, I think him and Andre, is very debatable, but I'm going to give the nod to Mos. Nobody puts together conceptual pieces lyrically like Mos. When we talk about Respiration, when we talk about his verse about time on the Hurricane soundtrack, no one puts together conceptual pieces like Mos. I'll give Andre some credit too, because even if we look at like International Players Anthem, they were able to make a whole video based on this man's verse. Concepts. You want to get to this Rock Marciano? Because I want to get to a rating for this album. We're like 3 hours and 20 minutes in.
No, we are. We got to get to the Rock joint too. I'm about to finish up my notes, and then I'm gonna have to switch devices because the laptop's dying.
Oh,
and I told you what happened with the charger and all that. We've been having all types of technical issues.
Yeah.
But let me finish. This is why you didn't need the other two singles. Money is another organic single, Mike. The whole money thing. Mm-hmm. It's like when I heard Just in Time is Money, I was thinking to myself, well, what do you need surround sound for? Like, why did you make that record? You don't need to make that record like Money and Can't Make You Change. Those are organic. And so I didn't like the fact that he felt the need to play the game because he's dropped a couple of projects and he doesn't feel like they've trended the way they should. And that's why Dance Now and Surround Sound pop up. And what I tell you, this album is so brilliant and so beautiful outside of those two records that those records actually bring the quality value down. They're two of the weaker songs on this album. Like literally, if I was going through the weakest songs, I would go Radar, Dance Now, Surround Sound. And yeah, and Louder too. I didn't love the ending.
Okay.
Louder 2 and Better Days are just okay. But the weakest songs are the first song, the first two songs, and the first last song, and the last two songs.
The first last song. Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay. LP with the super chat says, how y'all feel about 3000 doing a new movie before an album?
Hold on. I'm not done yet.
Go ahead.
And he's right about that. Just in Time with Wayne. That's the real single, Mike. Yeah. Why did we not hear Just in Time with Wayne? What else do you want? Would you like some literary devices? Would you like an agenda to fit the masses? Like, you want some rap shit? You want some clout shit? You want some guest appearance shit? You want a beat? That's the song. Just in Time is the song they shouldn't release. So when you're telling me that it's album of the year, I'm like, not with those as the single. Not in this year, because Kendrick got album of the year in that year. The next best album is Life is Good. This ain't a Life is Good second place kind of year, Mike. This is not album of the year because there's too many missteps. There's his voice. There's these poor single choices. When he had 3 other singles, Mike, he can even release Stars with Yasin. He's got 4 singles on the back of his album that are organic and natural. Earth Gang just popped. Dreamville just popped. Cole's on this run. Can I finish? My last thought. These songs are slightly too long for these times. There's too many 4-minute songs on this album to call it album of the year. We're not calling no album of the year. They got sitting up here 1992 fucking 4-minute songs on it consistently. We not. It's not, Mike. We just so not, Mike. It's really 4.5-minute songs. You know better, Mike. You know better. It's 4.5-minute songs. We're not playing those games. The World Is Yours is like 4 minutes and 36 seconds. We're not playing those games no more.
You're getting really particular on this album. I like it, though.
I'm particular because he's really good and he deserves the critique. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I give guys smoke, I'm giving you smoke because I'm like, oh, shit. When I listen to this album, I'm like, oh, no, he done made it. I need to critique it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, personality aside, I think y'all underrate Talib's performance on Black Star, train of thought, and quality. He is on the top. He was on a top pace. I think Train of Thought is brilliant, and you know how much I like Mos and Yasin. I think Train of Thought's better than Black on both sides. That's an unpopular opinion by me, but I feel like Train of Thought is actually the best piece of work that Black Star has put together collectively as an individual entity, solo artist, and as a group. Ray Realm says The Elephant Man's Bones by Rock Marciano and The Alchemist are far ahead, 99.99% of hip-hop today. Horns of, Abarex is a masterclass in hardcore hip-hop. You ready to get to that album?
It is, so I want to just finish off with one last thought, and this is a Cole thought. He's got the Dreamville mixtape right now, Mike.
Yeah.
It's got the Earth Gang Ghetto Gods album. It's got the JID Forever story.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm about to say. Not since Wu-Tang Clan has a collective dropped 2 album of the year contenders in 1 year. In the only year in hip-hop history where there were ever 3, Mike, Return to the 36 Chambers, Only Built for Cuban Links, and Liquid Swords. I would like J. Cole to finish this deal and put a stamp. No, listen. No, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. For whatever smoke that I give, I was raised on the east side of Atlanta and the west side of Charlotte. This is some true Atlanta and North Carolina shit going on. You feel me?
Yeah.
I want to see these motherfuckers win more than anything else. Do you know what cements this victory for this year? This is a Dreamville year if Cole drops an album, because where I have JID's album, and this is exactly how I have it. I have it No Fear in Time and Cheat Codes tied at first right now. And then right after that, I have Che Noir's Food for Thought. And then I am torn between Ransom's album and Earth Gang's album. And then right after that, I have JID's album. But Mike, the way that it's shaping out, if Cole drops an album and he sounds the way that he sounds, I think 3 of the 7 best albums this year can come out of one camp. And only Wu-Tang Clan can say that.
That's very fair.
That's special potential territory to be in. And so what I really want is I want Cole to drop his albums to compete this movement. And I'm going to say this again. For all the coverage we've been giving Griselda didn't drop 3 albums like that in a year. And so that's what I mean. It's like they've dropped 2 albums like that. We got Pray for Paris, From a King to a God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Benny's album wasn't like that. Just straight up and down. This year we got God Don't Make Mistakes and Tana Talk 4. The Earth Gang and the JID album are better than both of those. I want Cole to step in and finish this deal for the South.
Jay Short Super Chat said, my bad, Talib was on a top 15 pace. Interesting. Hold on.
No, he wasn't. But okay.
Nas the Goat said, Yassine Bey is an incredible actor as well. Yes, he is.
He might be a better actor than MC, which is crazy.
That's crazy. From a technical standpoint, he might be the best actor hip-hop's ever had.
From a training standpoint, it's not a question. From the technical training aspect of actually being able to method act and act, you want to know what it is? And I noticed this when he did the interview. And this is true acting shit, not even MC shit. He knows exactly when he can and cannot speak, and that is acting shit. He never speaks out of turn or out of place. Even when he cuts Talib off, he knows Talib so well that he cuts Talib off in a place where when he knows Talib is done accentuating the thought that's important to him before he steps in to speak, and he will not speak before then. I watch nonverbal communication more than I watch verbal communication, Mike.
Mad Max with the Super Chat says, Coop, stop. You can have a 4-minute song today. I remember Fabio got hot off of Big Drip. That song is damn near 5 minutes. Kids were playing that stuff like crazy. It's a very good observation. And Mad Max also says, I met 3. It's not that far off from 4 minutes. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get on to this Rock Marciano. What are you rating this album?
Hold on. What are we rating the JID? No, I think
that's what I'm talking about. What are you rating the JID?
Remember how you told me like all 4.25s are rated the same, as in with the Lotto and the Megan? That's how I feel about the Earth Gang and the JID. Not all 4.5s are created the same, Mike, but I'm going to give Earth Gang the slight edge. I'm giving this a 4.5 by JID and an excellent job. Well done. But a couple steps away, and not the Earth Gang album, in my opinion. But I also said, like you said, when I heard this album, it's like, I got to go listen to the Earth Gang album again from beginning to end. I know lyrically this album is not better than Che or Ransom's album. I need to go listen to see if it's better overall. I don't care what you say, Mike. There's not one hip-hop classic song on this JID album. There is on No Fear of Time and Cheat Codes.
That's
classic songs matter. Don't tell me an album with classic songs that's just as good as an album without classic songs is not as good as an album. No Gold Teeth is going to go down like a classic. Aquamarine is going to go down like a classic. Mike, Strangers, that shit crazy. The Darkest Part with Raekwon, crazy.
I like The Darkest Part.
Because, Mike, Belize, crazy. No, there's too many high levels on Cheat Codes. No Fear of Time. I think it might be the most innovative piece of hip-hop work in the last decade. And you and I think, share that sentiment. And so I'm going to maintain that those 4 to 5 albums are ahead of this JID album. But it is close enough that I would not be surprised if at the end of the year, this album were to land in the top 5. It's definitely going to be a top 10 album. Because keep in mind, we still need to talk about this rock project, because I want to talk about the placement of it in this rock project. KD3 is still coming. And so when I'm telling you that it's going to be a top 10 album, it's like...
I think in my gut, No Fear of Time is my album of the year. Like, it's hard for me to.
I
say
want to have the
anything
Drink
else.
Champs chalk, Mike, because it's like we can't give it album of the year about certain things, but I want to too. Because even though Black Thought's lyrically better than they are, how about this? That shit is pushing the boundary. The more that I listen to all this other stuff, that's why they called it No Fear of Time, Mike. They knew they were pushing the boundary of what hip hop music could be and how timeless it was. I heard timeless hip hop when I heard No Fear of Time.
Yeah, I heard No Fear of Time. You know,
I heard No Fear of Time. They spoke to it on the Drink Champs, and it's like, no, that's why we said it was album of the year. But Mike, this is the music business. You're in the business of disseminating the music to the masses of people. And if you have your reasons, and this is why I want to have the conversation. Oh, the rationale and the validity for why they're doing what they're doing is there.
I respect it.
I respect it. I love it. I have a higher respect for Yasin and Talib than I ever have in my life after watching the Drake Champs. It does not change the fact that this is the music business. You're in the business of selling this motherfucking product. You contrived your product. And so on some level, we need to address what you did potentially to harm your product by contriving your product. You can try to make it seem like you're not contriving your product with your rhetoric because you're intelligent, educated black men. There are other intelligent, educated black men that are going to have views that's going to be like, that's some bullshit, and you know it, and I know it. Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's some bullshit, and you know it.
I wish more people heard the album, man.
Like, man, but that's what I'm saying is like, okay, so it's like, at what IQ level do you feed that dissemination of that bullshit to people? Because when you get to a certain IQ level, you cannot feed that bullshit, Mike. You feel what I'm saying? And that is my problem with them. It's like, oh, did you tell that to the sheep? Did you tell that to the wolves? Did you tell that to the woke? Because the sheep is going to buy it, the wolves is going to attack you, and the woke is going to do what I did, which is question your ass.
You know, I had some questions too about. Because I disagree with,
end to end, you're going to get questioned, right? It's like, oh, is that the reason? Well, explain further, motherfucker.
Mad Max in the super chat says, "Weddy is the song that is 4 minutes that was a hit." Let's see, let me get to the rest of these super chats, but let's start talking about Rock Marciano.
Let's get this Rocky out the way. I'm very disappointed in you, Mike.
What's that?
I'm disappointed in you.
About what?
You didn't hear what I heard.
Maybe I need to hear some more. All right, this is what I heard. Let me get to this track list real quick.
Pull it up.
Oh,
I like that we're ending the show with the Rock Marcy too.
What's that?
I like that we're ending the show with the Rock Marcy.
Oh, definitely.
The laptop may close down. If it closes down, I got the iPad over here. And I want people to know I keep my iPad over here because it's easier to read my notes on my iPad than my phone. Like, I'm 40. You know, like reading the notes on your iPad. So I don't know. I can see it from right here, fam. Like a big chill.
All right, so what I was going to say is, man, all right, this is my thing. You know me, I'm a big Rock Marciano fan.
Way bigger than me. That's why I'm surprised. That's what I mean. It's like, what are you doing?
I think that the moments that he has, like Emerald, and yeah, somebody said it in the chat, Quantum Leap and Daddy Kane, those are the moments that I wanted to hear more of.
Mike, I got Quantum Leap in big black bold letters with an Alchemist question next to it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about Quantum Leap personally. That's my show. That was my show when I was a kid. Quantum Leap comes on the Sci-Fi Network at 1 o'clock in the morning, at 2 o'clock in the morning. And Mike, last night, when I was listening to the Rock album, guess what was coming on when I was finishing up the Rock album?
Quantum Leap.
Right.
And the record, Trillion Cut, dope shit. So you know, similar, and it's funny, you and I...
Are we in unpack mode or are we still in explanation mode? Because I want to unpack.
All right, let's unpack, but what I was going to say is it's funny, you're doing to the JID album what I'm doing to the Rock Marciano album, and I think that's because we're different type of fans of each person. I didn't really expect too much from JID in that way because I wasn't that big of a fan, and so it exceeded expectations.
He's from the east side, Mike. I'm putting the flag up. He's from my side.
So I like Rock Marciano so much that I had a certain him and Alchemist. Right. I have a certain standard.
And I don't.
Yeah. And so I'm going back listening to songs like Emeralds, like, am I tripping? Because I know these guys have a level, and
That's not fair.
Daddy
Emeralds
Kane,
is not fair, Mike.
Daddy Kane has a level that they're reaching this level. Like you said with Yasin Bey, he's reaching a level that we wished he did on. So the levels are there on the album. It's just not consistent. Now, this is what I will say about the song.
I feel like hold on. Before you go any further, I feel like part of the reason why I have this in the album of the year contender is because I felt like this is the only album in the album of the year contenders, other than the J.I.D. or the Black Star, where the stars are taking chances. They're taking chances on this album. They took some chances, Mike. I thought they succeeded with their chances. I'm like, are these old ass niggas taking chances on this album and winning? Because we just lauded Black Star for doing it. We just lauded Black Thought for doing it with Aquamarine. We're lauding young ass J.I.D. for doing it, even though he's in his early 30s. It's like, why are we not lauding?
This is what I was gonna say though, Coop. I was gonna say like, yo, the stuff that they took that I didn't like as much, they took chances on, and so it wasn't like it was I don't want to say bad song or a song that I wasn't as interested in because I didn't think it was a good song. It just I like what they do when they're doing the other stuff more.
What's the other stuff, Mike?
I didn't think
they did a lot on this album. Hold on, let's talk about it. Because when I knew you were going to say that, and part of why I love this album is because I felt like they had too many followers independently that knew them for too many things and doing too many things, and that they were going to try too many things and fail. And I felt like they tried too many things, succeeded.
Right. But
you feel differently. But you're the bigger Rock Marcy fan. I think I might be the bigger Alchemist fan, though.
I think you are a bigger Alchemist fan, even though I hold Alchemist very high. What I was going to say is, I think that when they hit those marks, they hit those marks. The chances that they took, to me, kind of drug the album down slightly. But, again, I could feel different about that in the upcoming weeks. But I think that mark that they hit, like on Daddy Kane and all that stuff, I feel like they can hit that mark for 12 songs. I do. I like Trillion Cut. The lyricism and all that is there. Wow. The lyricism and all that stuff is there. I just didn't really love all the sonic approaches. And it's similar to Cheat Code.
Whoa. Okay.
Similar to how I feel about Cheat Code in that way.
We're almost four hours in, so I'm gonna get to my notes because I have more Rock Marcy notes than anything else. We definitely hold on, real talk. I'm not saying this, and I'm not joking when I say this. You all need to sign up for our Patreon account so that we can watch these things live.
I knew this was gonna be a part one
I can already
show.
see me and Mike are gonna have to play the Alchemist and Rock's album and J.I.D. album. That's already happening,
I knew this episode was gonna be a part one episode. I knew that. I knew we were gonna have to carry this over. So.
Right, and we haven't even got to the Drink Champs, and we need to get to the Drink Champs, Mike. I have more notes about the Drink Champs than I do about these albums.
Okay.
Right, Dave Chappelle's the funniest nigga ever. All right, Mike, this album is on some Wu-Tang shit, production-wise. That's my first note. This album is on some Wu-Tang shit, production-wise. I said Quantum Leap. I put right next to it. I said, well, Alchemist is top 10 producer, all-time easy, and now we need to start having a top 5 discussion. And here's what I mean we need to have a top 5 discussion. Because Kanye, Dre, Preem, RZA, Dilla. Right, that's 5, right? Mm-hmm. Alchemist needs to be the next guy in the discussion, in my opinion, even over Pete Rock. We're going to get into that on the Monday Patreon.
We'll have a whole nother conversation, yeah.
Right, we're going to get into that on the Monday Patreon. Yeah, we are. Mike, the production transitions on this album are flawless.
They are.
They are. He is literally doing executive production stuff with the transition and the skits. The skits are beautiful, funny, introspective, relative, and flawless, and so are the transition. The executive production mode is on 10.
I agree.
Okay?
Yeah.
Mike, Rubber Hand Grip is on some shadow boxing, switch the beat up while the rapper is rapping type shit. That's what I mean. It's like some Wu-Tang shit. I was like, is he switching the beat? He's switching the pattern? He's switching the BPMs? I'm like, oh shit, he's switching all of them. Oh shit. Like he in a zone. All these songs are what I like to call officially on Daytona time, Mike. You know what Daytona time is? They're 2 minutes and 30 seconds and then he's gone, just like Daytona. Yep. Has in the album that Kanye and Pusha T put together. Mike, some more talk, because I was just listening to his voice. What's up with the Long Island dudes' voices? Rock Marciano, Prodigy, and Rakim have three of the greatest rap voices ever. This not count EPMD. You know there are other cats from Long Island, Mike.
Chuck
These
D.
Long Island dudes.
Chuck D.
Yes. Hold on, Mike. Chuck D, Rock Marciano, Prodigy, and Rakim. Those are four of the top 20 rap voices ever.
Yeah.
Long Island. It's not even considered one of the 5 boroughs. Long Island in the house, Mike. Their voices. And they sound different. Rock Marciano sounds different. Chuck D sounds different. Prodigy sounds different. Rakim, I think we know. That's different. It's different. So there's some shit with Long Island. Mike, Bubble Bath is some straight Purple Tape shit. That is snapped straight from the Purple Tape.
Yeah.
That is strapped. Mike, I literally wrote this. I said, I can smell it cooking right now. I said, I can smell it. It's giving me congestion, Mike. It's giving me congestion. It's building up mucus in my throat. What the fuck is... That's crack. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's how that shit is. Mike, this is also how you sequence an album, too. Liquid Coke is classic rock and Alchemist.
It is.
Like, that's Alchemist's beat style. That's Rock Marciano's rap style. And they're like, hey, we can do this together for fun whenever we feel like. And that's what Liquid Coke is. That's probably why they call it Liquid Coke, because they knew it too, Mike. It's like, this is what we get together and do our shit together.
Yeah.
What it sounds like.
And I think
Mike,
that's probably why
music.
they took some of the chances.
Literally
that
crack
they did.
music, Mike.
I think that's why they took some of the chances that they took too, because they knew that they could make songs like that, like, you know, in a whim.
Right, Mike. I'm with you. Trillion Cut. This is my block burner. Block burner. Trillion Cut's a block burner, Mike. It's gonna burn the block up. Listen to what I said. Did you hear how Boldy James started off the track, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
He hit the track off with the James Harden stutter step and then stepped into it smooth. His flow done got sicker, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
The nigga do so much work that he stutter stepping into. You know how James Harden hit you with the hesitation? That's how he came in on the beat. I was like, did he hesitate? It's like, oh no, he's to the hole. He went to the hole. This shit is beautiful, Mike. This shit is beautiful. The beat, Mike, you can crip walk to that beat. Did you know that? Did you know that you could crip walk to an Alchemist beat? Really from Los Angeles. It usually sounds like it's East Coast. Like you can crip walk to that shit. Can you even say crip anymore? You have to say sea walk. I don't give a fuck. When I lived in Cali, you could say crip walk to that shit. This shit is bananas, Mike. Trillion Cut is bananas. It's bananas. That's crack music, Mike. There's all types of crack music on here. I trade cuts like I'm trying to die. Mike, did he say that? Did Rock Marciano say that on record? I trade cuts like I'm trying to die. Those are literary devices, Mike. Those are literary devices. Those are ready to die type literary devices. I trade cuts like I'm trying to die.
Ray Reynolds with the super chat says, this is what hip-hop sounds like. Oh, cool. Ray Reynolds says, this is what hip-hop sounds like in 2028. Album of the year. Let's see. Flipper says, Daddy Kane sounds like it should be played on, it's a beautiful work of art. Let's see, we got Inspector. It says, Rockin' Al is the real album of the year.